mean, to be honest, I was going to say the cell phone. I mean, I just think the absolute convenience of it. I mean, it has downsides all over the place. You know, the number of times I'll go into a restaurant, maybe I'm waiting for whoever I'm seeing. I might be waiting to board a plane. There'll be a group of 6 people who are all together. Every single one of them is looking at their phone. So I get all of that. But the kind of things you can do. I've been spending time with a family that have come out from the United States, joining up with family in Cape Town. So we're a kind of moving feast of 11 people, all trying to coordinate where we've got to be and who's going in what vehicle and where is this person and who's looking after this aspect and that. And it's just unbelievably useful and convenient. So I don't think you're miles off the mark. Karabo Chale,
I think
cell phones taken.
Yeah, I think if this was not invented, nothing would have been done by me. Like, I would never be productive. I'll always be sleeping. So the alarm clock for me, it does wonders.
It's in your cell phone.
It's in my cell phone, but I'm just saying, generally.
the concept of somebody who woke you up before alarm clocks.
Obviously, my parents did.
Who woke them up?
That's a very good one. I have no idea.
Did they have alarm clocks?
I think we had those the ones that used to vibrate. And
yes.
Yes, those beautiful ones.
Yeah, you had to smack and then they shut up. But then if you snooze, if you didn't smack them harder, they'll go on and on.
The smacking was the only good part of it. Very satisfying. Because, you know, from time to time then you'd have to buy another one. So, best inventions, please. Give us a thought. And they do not have to have changed the world. They just have to have changed your world. That's what we want to hear about. And we look forward to hearing from you. WhatsApp voice notes. Faisal, I think the greatest invention is Wi-Fi. Mageshri says, I would say the microwave. You can use it for everything. My son's favorite is using it to make popcorn. Okay, we're starting to fill up quite a little store here of inventions. We have the cell phone, we have the alarm clock, we have the microwave, and Wi-Fi is not a thing, although router is. Keep them coming on 702 Drive. 3:16. Let's see what's happening on the roads.
Well, John, fairly quiet on our roads at this stage. We just have those roadworks still causing delays, though, in the Lenasia area on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue. No accidents have been reported on our highways. Just look out for those faulty traffic lights, though, in the Randburg area at Malibongo Drive and Mahogany. There's also faulty traffic lights in the Sunning Hill area at Witkoppen and Achta. If you're in the Tshwane area heading towards, leaving the Pretoria CBD, heading towards Soshanguve, there's already heavy delays. This is on Eskiam Pahlele between Vomhagen and the R80. There's also traffic lights not working in the capital. That's Groenkloof at Christina de Wit and Euphius. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
The saga playing itself out in the Eastern Cape involving the Judge President Selby Menenge to see the need for such a policy. It's a 25-page document. What are some of the key elements to it, do you think?
It defines what sexual harassment is. And I think that is imperative considering that a lot of people actually don't know how to define the term and they don't know how it can manifest in different ways.
Makatso Nchodu is a legal researcher and advocacy officer at Judges Matter, reflecting on the sexual harassment policy that was announced by Chief Justice Mandisa Maya.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Welcome to the future of well-being. On 4 September, the world's brightest minds in mental mastery descend on Cape Town for the first ever Mind Matters Summit at the CTICC. Join best-selling author of Solve for Happy, Mo Godat, top neuroscientist, Dr. Tara Swart, and co-creator of the Human Growth Code, Christoph Faconia. And that's just the beginning. Olympic gold medalist Tatiana Smith and singer Lyra joins a lineup of South African champions, sharing the exact tools they use to rise, recover, and lead under pressure. Whether you're a business leader, creative, or game changer, if you're serious about your mental mastery, this day is for you. Clarity, energy, emotional mastery. Mind Matters Summit. Change your mind, change your life. Book now at mindmatters-summit.com. See you on 4 September. Proudly supported by Prime Media Cares.
Dear Journal, day 4602 of trying to be an adult. My doctor asked me how my quality of rest is at the moment. I told him I have 2 problems. I struggle to sleep at night, but I also struggle to awake at day.
Aggressively realizing your age? Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's simple and like 19 Rand a day, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crushed prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety, and service, Warrior Paints is streets ahead. Warrior Paints. Affordable, lasting luxury.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, lots of you responding to the best invention. Listen to this from Tando. Boy, got to get my head around this. The best invention is time. Okay. What else? Pam, the wheel. The greatest invention, again, a deep one from Sabata. The greatest invention is agriculture. Clement says, painkillers. And Sipo, thank you. The best invention ever is radio. Bruce, it must surely have been the wheel from the time it came into being. It is still relative to date. Great. Keep those coming on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. It's 20 minutes past 3. Let's look at this then. The Democratic Alliance has been setting out a whole plan, a 6-point plan to reform and what they say will turbocharge South Africa's economy. Amongst this is a criticism, some of them I think quite familiar, of the BBBEE Act, Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment, the Employment Equity Act, and the Expropriation Act. But they've also had some things to say about state-owned enterprises. To find out what these points were, because this really is, I think, an aspect of government that very much is up for debate, whereas some of those other policies, I think there's much more political contestation around it. Alpha Ramoshwana, our colleague at EWN, has been at the press conference and listening to this and looking at the documents. Alpha, very good afternoon to you. SOEs, I mean, what is the DA say? What does the DA say needs changing?
Good afternoon, John. So the DA says the policies that are meant for transformation, such as the BBBEE, Employment Equity Act and the Expropriation Act as well, while they do seek to introduce transformation in the country, things like collapsing state-owned entities are actually moving them backwards. And they've mentioned the likes of Eskom, where a lot of people across the country are struggling to pay for electricity each and every single month because electricity prices just keep going higher and higher. And the party says instead of these policies that have been introduced in government, the pieces of legislation that they are contesting or challenging, it's better to just get things right. So reduce the cost of electricity. When it comes to local government, the political party is saying that dysfunctional municipalities as well, the coalitions such as Joburg, Ekurhuleni as well, Tshwane, these coalitions are always breaking down. There's always motions of no confidence. And the DA says instead of these transformation policies, let's get the basics right. Let's get local government working. Let's get municipalities working so that they are able to employ people. People are able to get jobs through the state's capacity and not necessarily rely on what the DA calls race-based policies or race-based legislation. So the 6-point plan that the party has been unveiling today really is something that they've been speaking about for years. Now they're just emphasizing it, and it's interesting that they're doing it as a member of government. In Tshwane, they were leading the municipality for the longest of time in a coalition with Action SA, which eventually broke down. And the party says such issues are the reason there's unemployment in the country. The people who are supposed to be creating jobs are fighting amongst each other in local government. And that is what they need to fix instead of focusing on these 3 pieces of legislation which they're challenging.
I know this wasn't specifically on the agenda, Alpha, but there was, I saw on TV that John Steenhuisen was commenting on the national dialogue. Was that part of, I don't know if that was in response to a journalist question, but if it was, what did he have to say?
Yeah, you remember few days ago, the Legacy Foundations decided to withdraw from the National Dialogue's Preparatory Committee. And the DA says that is a sign that a foundation like the Thabo Mbeki Foundation, a man who was once the leader of the ANC, is pulling out of a national dialogue. That should say something about the way in which the government is preparing for this dialogue, the funds that have been set aside for the dialogue as well. The party says now that a lot of these organizations have pulled out, the DA has pulled out, Action SA has pulled out, the Legacy Foundations have pulled out as well. And the DA is asking, who exactly is this dialogue going to be had with? Is it just going to be cabinet members from the ANC? Because most of the parties which are in the opposition, some which are in the government of national unity, have also pulled out. So the party is questioning why exactly we need this dialogue once again, drawing comparison as well to the president's imbizos, which he does across the country, saying it's a similar quote-unquote talk shop where they discuss the country's challenges. There are many other structures of this nature where South Africans put in their input. So the party doesn't understand till today why we need a national dialogue, and the convention is set for Thursday. So that's going ahead, the president has confirmed.
702 Drive, thank you, Alpha Ramoshwana. An update on various things set out by the DA at today's press conference. 25 minutes past 3 o'clock.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
So when we talk about South Africans moving away from the place they live to another part of South Africa, the term used is semigration. And semigration, the trend has been pretty much Gauteng, going to the Western Cape, Cape Town in particular, Joburgers and people from Pretoria in particular heading in that direction. Of course, they may well move up the coast, either north or to the east, but in general, a move to the Western Cape. But the number of people who are moving Cape Town to Johannesburg is starting to get bigger and bigger. Of all, if you look at the patterns of these moves, I was talking about the main trends are still heading south and west, but 25% of all moves now are coming out of the Western Cape and heading north. So, what is this all about? Let's find out and welcome Nadia Okamp, who is broker and owner at the property company Remax All Stars. Ms. Okamp, welcome and thanks very much for your time. Obviously, as you and your team and people in your industry get to chat to people about a house they're interested in buying or a property they'd like to lease, you get to know them and they tell you why they're moving. Why are they moving? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. Thank you for having me. People are definitely moving in, basically up from Cape Town towards Gauteng lately. We've seen a lot of people getting back to actually office-based, where it used to be remote working, and now it's changed back to mostly office-based. So people who semigrated down for a better lifestyle is now actually forced to come back because the offices are based in Joburg.
Okay, so those are people who don't really have a choice. In other words, they moved down because remote working allowed them to move down. But are there other people who've moved, for example, because of not only property price in Cape Town, but value? For example, not just the hard number you pay for something, but perhaps a change in life circumstances, birth of a child or a second one?
Yes. A lot of people are moving back closer to the extended families as a backup for them, or just to have their support structure around them. So we've seen that also a lot. Change in life, maybe one of the spouses passing away, moving back to their families that's still up in Joburg. We've seen that, and also, as you say, with the birth of a child, they do tend to come back to their support structure.
What's this doing to Gauteng prices? Joburg, Tshwane, I don't know where the best metrics are found.
Overall, the market is stabilizing here in Gauteng. So we haven't seen much of an increase. I think the decrease in interest rate is helping with that. So the prices are still stable. So it hasn't really impacted the price that we can say there's a significant increase in prices in our area.
And in terms of trends, I mean, at what point does a pattern become a trend? I don't know if I'm playing with language here, but I guess what I'm saying is you might get something that happens for a bit, but then settles down and the old patterns, take hold. So, for example, if the settling down of companies Ms. Okamp, to you've got to be in the office once that kind of kicks in. It will reach its limit. Do you still expect the Cape Town-Joburg move to be as strong, or do you think that'll plateau at some point?
I definitely think it would plateau at some point where people will have to make that difficult decision. Is it worth my while moving back, or am I rather looking for something more local? Staying in Cape Town, maybe looking for a different job opportunity there. Although the job opportunities in Gauteng is still, I think there's much more available in Gauteng than in the Cape at the moment.
Thanks so much. Nadia Okamp is the broker and the owner at the property company Remax All Stars, joining us here on 702 Drive.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Very keen to know from you, have you made the move either way? Have you moved down to Cape Town? Do you have family members, friends, others who've moved and maybe had second thoughts? Anyone coming back, turning up, old neighbors, old friends, cousins, brothers, sisters, whoever it might be, saying, you know what, I'm back. Yeah, I'd be interested to hear from you if you've got a story to share on that regard. And if you are involved in the buying and selling of property, you may have some particular insights that you could share with us as well. Numbers to use, 072 702 1702 and 011 883 0702. It's 3:30. Right, let's get the very latest Eyewitness news. Mongezi Koko is with us. Good afternoon.
That's right, and Dr. John, good afternoon. The Portfolio Committee on Community Safety is urging the public to assist law enforcement with any information that could lead to the rearrest of escaped prisoner Jabulani Moyo. The fugitive broke free from police custody while being transported from court to the Boksburg Correctional Facility on Friday. During his escape, Moyo allegedly shot and killed 2 officers, and a manhunt for him is underway. The portfolio's Bandile Masuku.
The committee calls on government to strengthen mechanisms that ensure the safety of police officers and create conducive working environment for them. Police officers must be empowered and supported in their duties, including being allowed to use necessary force when their lives are in imminent danger.
The presidency says much like the Cadessa negotiations, which ushered the country's democratic dispensation, it comes as no surprise that some will opt out of the process. This comes after the withdrawal of at least 6 legacy foundations from the preparatory task team ahead of the first leg of the national dialogue. On Friday, the first national convention is expected to take place without the legacy foundations, who walked away from this part of the dialogue, citing delayed funding and insufficient preparation periods. Tanduluhle Ngobo reports.
Presidency's Vincent Makwenya says it's important for the public to recognize the value attached to the national dialogue. He says this remains true even if some walk away from the process. Makwenya, speaking on 702 earlier, compared the impasse to the one during the 1990s peace talks.
You will recall when we were heading towards Cadessa, there were parties who boycotted those processes and those talks.
He says there's no merit to perceptions that the foundations walking away will dilute the dialogue.
We're fairly comfortable that we'll be able to proceed and the credibility of the exercise will be maintained throughout.
After the first convention on Friday, the national dialogue will continue with a series of public engagements across the country. Tanduluhle Ngobo, Eyewitness News.
Despite COPE's poor electoral performance at the general elections, the party says it believes it can recover lost ground. The party has appointed Teboho Loate as its interim leader following Musiwa Lokota's decision to step back from politics. Lokota has been unwell and battling an undisclosed illness, prompting the organization to find an interim replacement. Alpha Ramashwana has more.
The COPE party received under 1% of the vote in the most recent general elections, resulting in the loss of its parliamentary representation. This was a sharp decline from its first election in 2009, when it received more than 1.3 million votes and 30 seats in the National Assembly. With leader Musiwa Lokota unwell and stepping back from politics, many believe the party will never bounce back. But newly appointed interim leader Teboho Loate insists the party can and will once again appeal to South Africans.
We all remember that COPE was born from a refusal to accept betrayal on politics that led to this current state of affairs. That spirit is still alive. We want to earn your trust again, not with words, but with action. In the coming months, South Africans will see a COPE that is active.
COPE says its focus is now on the local government elections. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
And US President Donald Trump is expected to hold a press conference today to reveal his plans for Washington. Now, yesterday, Trump demanded that homeless people immediately move out of the city as he vows to tackle crime. Washington is run by the locally elected government of the District of Columbia under congressional oversight, but Trump has threatened to federalize the city and give the White House final say on how it is run. Trump's move comes after a 19-year-old former employee of the Department of Government Efficiency, aka Doge, was assaulted in an attempted carjacking in the city. A fine Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, lows of between 5 and 7 degrees and highs of between 20 and 21.
In Hermanstad, Pretoria, leaving the CBD, there's still bumper-to-bumper traffic on Eskiam Patlela between Wormhagen and the R18. Devland heading into Eldorado Park. Roadworks causing heavy delays on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue.
The top story in EWN, the Portfolio Committee on Community Safety, is urging the public to assist law enforcement with any information that could lead to the rearrest of escaped prisoner Jabulani Moyo.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
The temporary head of visible policing in the Moot district in Pretoria would not be so visible herself if she was patrolling the streets. According to a complaint by the Democratic Alliance, she's never worn a police uniform, has never been trained as an officer. Just a few weeks ago, she was behind bars, facing charges of fraud, corruption, and the abuse of the SAPS's Secret Service funds. Who will guard the guardians?
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
When you empower a woman, you empower a whole nation. Women have a remarkable way of multiplying whatever is placed in their hands. This August, we're celebrating Women's Month with the theme Building Resilient Economies for All. We reflect and honor the courageous women of 1956 who took a stand against the injustices of the past. We also recognize and celebrate all South African women who continue to lead, build, and inspire across every part of our society, from business and education to peace building and beyond. Yes, there is still much to be done. The pursuit to achieving total gender equality and empowerment will continue until every woman is able to enjoy the benefits of a safe and just society. #Rekaufela Basadi. #Women's Month 2025. A message by the National Department of Sport, Arts and Culture.
It took patience, perseverance and audacity to get my first call-up and win with the Bokke. And we did it together. That's why I, Dion Free, partnered with African Bank so I can win big with a 60-month fixed deposit. Patience brings results. Join the bank that backs you. Get a 12.8% return at expiry on your investment. Visit africanbank.co.za or a branch for assistance. African Bank, audacity to believe. African Bank is a licensed financial services and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
For me, the greatest invention, the wheel. France from Benoni.
Good afternoon, John, and good afternoon to your 702 listeners. To me, one of the greatest inventions ever made has to be the PlayStation. For a guy like me who doesn't go out much, clubbing or stuff like that, the PlayStation has made staying at home a very nice experience, you know, and the kids also love it, so they also into it. So yeah, for me, it has to be the PlayStation. That thing is fantastic. This is Eugene from Soshanguve.
Hi, John. For me, the greatest invention is the motor vehicle, the car. I work in Pretoria and I live in Rugby, so imagine if I had to use public transport. Yeah, it would be a nightmare. Or use whatever they were using in the olden days, like a donkey car or whatever. It would have been hell. And yeah, and the car has opened more opportunities for me to be able to work this far.
Hi there. I think after sliced bread, wet wipes are the best invention. If you've had kids and even after kids, they're the best thing ever.
Yeah, lots of things. So people have gone from huge inventions to the small ones like wet wipes. I don't know if someone's going to come in with Post-its. and maybe Ziploc bags to put things in the fridge. Go big, go small, but whatever you do, do give us a call. 072 702 1702. Justin sends us an interesting one and says, the best modern invention is GPS, Global Positioning System, now called GNSS, Global Navigation Satellite System, I believe, gives us our exact position on Earth using time and triangulation from satellites. Truly, Justin says, a modern miracle. 21 minutes to 4.
EWN Sport.
Tolakele, hi. So the Springbok team to play Australia on Saturday at Ellis Park has been named. What does it look like? Good afternoon.
Afternoon, John. Well, that's for their Rugby Championship opener, and Evan Etzebeth will extend his record as the most capped Bok of all time to 134 matches, while the backline features Apelele Fasi, Kurtley Aronson, and Edwin van der Merwe. The loose trio features flankers Peter Steph du Toit, Marco van Staden, alongside captain Siya Kolisi, who donned the number 8 jersey for the first time in a test.
The only position the guy really plays at 8 is at scrums, and scrums is probably the thing that happens 13 or 14 times in a game. But general play is probably the thing that happens the most, and with having a guy like Peter and Marco and Sia on the field, at the same time we really feel Australia is a big threat at the breakdown. They really bite hard at the breakdown. All three of those guys are really good guys who clean out at the breakdown, and we feel we're going to need that.
The Proteas are 1-0 down in their 3-match T20 series against Australia, having lost yesterday's game by 17 runs. Despite the defeat, there were some positives, including Gwena Mapaga taking 4 for 20. And at just 19 years old, he becomes the youngest fast bowler from a member nation to achieve that feat.
Coming off a few bad performances in Zim and kind of just building up, playing some more professional and competitive cricket in the past few months. So it feels really good to put in a good performance for the team and make history while doing it.
Crystal Palace have lost their appeal against being demoted from the Europa League and will play in the Conference League this season. The ruling from the Court of Arbitration for Sport also means that Nottingham Forest's spot in the Europa League is confirmed, having been promoted in Palace's place. The news comes just a day after they beat Liverpool on penalties to win the Community Shield at Wembley. And keeping with that game, Arne Slot has played down the interruption of the minute's silence in memory of Diogo Jota by Palace fans. Tributes were paid to the late forward and his brother Andre Silva, with wreaths laid on the pitch and a period of silence before kickoff.
I don't think this was planned, or this was the idea of the fan that made some noise. Maybe he wasn't aware of the fact that it was the minute of silence. He was just still happy and tried to cheer for his team. And I think then the fans of Palace were trying to calm that person or those persons down. So I don't think he had a bad intention, the guy or people that made noise. Then they tried to calm him down, but that was a bit noisy as well. And then our fans reacted on, hey, what's happening here?
Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Okay, first afternoon rush hour of the week. 19 minutes to 4 should be early, but Devlin's a bit of a problem, as I understand it from Karabo Chale. Good afternoon.
Yes, that's all due to roadworks in the Devlin area. That's on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue. Still in the south of Joburg, Protea Glen, Soweto, bumper-to-bumper traffic. N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558. Also in the Lenasia area, roadworks still causing delays on the Golden Highway. This is between Fun Valley and the R554 Nirvana Drive. In Hermanstad, Pretoria, bumper-to-bumper traffic on Eskiam Pahlele between Vormhagen and the R80, and look out for those faulty traffic lights in the Centurion area at the Roy Hayes Crow Road and 8. If you come across any other traffic issues, please SMS us on 31702. We're also on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
18 minutes to 4 on 702 Drive. Tolakele, best ever invention. We've got a couple of people saying PlayStation. I'm getting a pitch here for recliner couches. Okay. DSTV says, Simon, what would you say is the best invention? Even if it doesn't have to be ever in the life of the entire world, but it could just be in your life.
The blender.
The blender, okay.
John, a smoothie here, a little juice there, love it. And as someone who grew up having to grate tomatoes using a grater, listen, now that I'm a bit older and I live on my own, I just chuck the tomatoes in there, let the blender do the work, and then I put them in my meal.
Now you tell me.
I'm sorry,
Okay?
John.
Never too late to get one. Okay, so we've got quite a lot of different things. Give us a call on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. Just want to remind you that we are now live on YouTube every day. We didn't in the tail end of last week because I was actually coming to you live from Cape Town. So technically from the Cape Talk studios. Thank you, by the way, to them for hosting us. But that is something we're going to be doing regularly. And we do like getting your comments on that Facebook page, that YouTube page as well. So send that to us. Some of you are using our Facebook page just to post some of your thoughts of the greatest inventions ever. Obi, the chip, aka microprocessor, indeed. We were talking about cell phones, impossible. I would have thought without the invention of the chip. Rick says the wheel again and says, we literally talk about not reinventing it. Silence says written language might be the single most transformative invention. Mboweni has a mix, aircraft, witchcraft, and science. Kevin says, the mute button on the remote. We've got another pitch for PlayStation from Katlejo. Amina, electricity when we do have it. Christopher says, mathematics, democracy. No, but Daweti says, democracy not the greatest, if you ask me. I respectfully disagree. And Paul says, fire. What else have we got? The wheel, lots of it. Toilet paper, says Mhlonishwa. So keep those coming, please. Best inventions. We've got another one for radio. By the way, thank you, Warambani. I love that one. Mobile phone is also getting some more support. It's coming up now for 4 o'clock.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Now, this is a story that really did catch my eye. Kind of out of the blue, written on the site Currency News. You can check it out there. Tim Cohen is the author. Many of you know Tim, a veteran journalist in the business space. Basically, the gist of the story. The South African band Freshly Ground, and I'll read Tim's first sentence. Members of the South African band Freshly Ground are campaigning to find out what is happening to the millions of rands still being earned by the official 2010 Soccer World Cup song Waka Waka, which was supposed to go to African charities. Repeated attempts, I'm paraphrasing now, to get answers about where the money has gone have been met with silence, and they've made inquiries at both FIFA and the record company Sony Music. So what's this all about? Simon Atwell is co-founder of Freshly Ground and the band's manager. Simon, a very good afternoon to you and welcome to 702 Drive. How long have you been guys been trying to get answers on this?
I think I first made an inquiry. How's it, John? Great to be here, by the way. I first made an inquiry back in 2013, which went unanswered, and I think it's only recently with the success, the continued success of the song. Over the last year, I've noticed like it got a Guinness Book of Records for the most successful FIFA World Cup song. It's in the top 20 of the most successful digital singles of all time. So this ongoing longevity of this song. The band started asking each other questions, like, yes, the song must have been making quite a lot of money, and like,
yes,
yeah, I guess so. And I went back to revisit the deal once more, and I kind of just, it reminded us all that the money, as we'd originally agreed, was all meant to be going to African charities. So, at the beginning of this year, I made some inquiries, and I said, look, we'd love to know which African charities have been benefiting from all the money.
Yeah, I mean, it's a reasonable inquiry. If you look at just the numbers that Tim has highlighted, racked up, for example, 4.3 billion views on YouTube to date, just under 1 billion listens on Spotify. When FIFA said, listen, the royalties and the profits are going to go to African charities, were they any more specific than that? Did they say in these countries, in those areas of need? I mean, how much detail were you guys given at the time?
Yeah, so it was quite a rushed affair. When the deal memo came through, it was never a fully executed deal. There was a deal memo sent through from America, and I think it was like, guys, we need to get this done. FIFA need to make an announcement on the Monday coming. The World Cup's imminent, and we need to get this song out. So the basic line that spoke to the master side of the songs was that all net profits will go to African charities of the artist's choice, which we thought was an excellent idea. So
Yes.
we signed it, and then amidst all the noise, at some stage we put through our designated charity, which was the Desmond Tutu HIV Foundation, which we've done quite a lot of work with over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And the response was, well, no, actually, it's only Shakira who gets to choose the charity.
Okay.
Which we were like, well, that's not kind of the deal that we signed, but okay, I guess, it's, we're the African artists, but we don't get to choose African charities. But we kind of sucked it up. And then have heard nothing since in terms of where the money went until this year when I've made several inquiries, and eventually I got told that the money has been paid over to FIFA, who have been using it towards their charity, which is called 20 Centers for 2010. So I think 20 Centers for 2010 was a FIFA charity set up around the World Cup, and I think they did quite a lot of good work. But as far as we can tell, that charity was shut down in 2014. And that's about as much as I've got.
So I just want to jump in there because, I mean, surely FIFA should pay for its charities out of the vast amounts of money they make on these tournaments, and they never tire of telling us how much they invest. Why would FIFA get money from a creative venture to which they contributed arguably on the creative side, which is what the concept of royalties, as I understand it, refers to? They contributed absolutely nothing. I mean, if an artist does an award-winning number, part of the royalties don't go to their music school.
Yeah, I think FIFA are very good at what they do, and they're very good at keeping in and trying to earn everything.
Yes.
So the deal that we signed was that, like between Sony and FIFA, they own the song in perpetuity, but the net profits go to charity. So,
Yes.
I mean, our question is really simple. It's like, guys, we signed a deal, and we'd really like you guys to honor your side of the deal, which is show us how much money has been accrued and to which charities it has been distributed.
So, have you ever engaged with Shakira about this? I mean, I'm not necessarily saying you're on each other's speed dial, but she has an agent. Has there been any connection with her? I think she has her own foundation serving people in Colombia, but I don't know many details about it. Any of your detective work uncovering any of this money going to her and onwards to that cause?
Yeah, so the original management I had contact with no longer works with Shakira, and
Right.
have sent some emails, and I think so has Tim, but haven't gone answered. So, I'm not sure what the status is there. I presume that she'd be equally interested to know, where the funds have gone. Presuming she signed the same deal, which, one would assume is the case.
Help me with a bit of music industry 101, Simon. All published music accrues royalties. In other words, even if there are a specific set of relationships about where those royalties should go, that doesn't invalidate the mechanics of royalty. In other words, if I listen to Waka Waka or download it or whatever it is, the meter goes click once, and that money should go somewhere. It's not as if no money is being generated. Would I be right in that?
No, what we're specifically looking at is the master side. So every song that's recorded and released is split into two sides, and
Okay.
that's generally a 50% split. One is the master side, which belongs to the people who paid for the recording, and then the other is the publishing side, which belongs to the people who wrote the song, the material.
Right.
So the intellectual property is on the publishing, and the actual recording, the master recording, is on the master side. The publishing side is fine and taken care of. So Fisher Garner got a very small percentage of the publishing. Shakira got a percentage of the publishing, and the original writers who wrote the original Waka Waka tune in the 1970s, Cameroonian band called Golden Sounds, they also own some of the publishing. So that publishing is split up between all the creators that have been involved in Waka Waka, which is fine, and I think everybody's getting paid what they should be being paid there.
Okay.
On the master side, we all gave up any entitlement to master rights, because it was all going to African charities. So that's what we're looking at.
Okay, but let me explain myself a little more precisely then. So publishing sorted, the master side, those royalties are ticking over every time somebody plays Waka Waka.
So every time someone streams Waka Waka, yes, there'll be a essentially money generated on the master side, yeah.
Okay, so all I'm trying to, push to one side as not a factor is that because of the arrangements around charitable beneficiaries and so on, royalties ceased. Royalties continue on the master side every time.
Absolutely,
yeah,
no,
okay.
no. Hundreds of millions has been generated. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So there's hundreds of millions of rand out there, and we don't know where it is.
Well, my guess is that my guess with Sony is that Sony are paying FIFA.
Yes.
And I don't know how much further it's got.
Yeah. So you've contacted both Sony and FIFA. I think you've said FIFA said, well, this went to 20 centres for 2010, and that project is now over. But they didn't say we are no longer getting money. They didn't add that sentence.
Yeah, I haven't had direct contact with FIFA. I know that Tim's had a response from them saying they're looking into it.
Oh yes.
But through Sony, we've been told that the money went to 20 centres for 2010. But subsequent to that, we've done our investigation to try and work out, what sort of centres 20 centres for 2010 built, and discovered that it had been shut down in 2014.
Yeah. Now, so I know a little bit about that program. So once in 2014, those centres were built. Now, I don't know if money is going towards, for example, ongoing running costs, but in any event, somebody's getting all this money, and neither FIFA nor Sony are being clear about who.
Yeah, look, if the money's going towards maintenance and still being channeled into African charities, fantastic.
Tell us.
Tell us. Exactly. I don't think it's too difficult. It's not a complicated question. It's like how much money has been generated, how many singles have been sold or streamed since the release of the song in 2010, which is it's going to be quite a big number, and where has the money gone?
Yeah, very. And as they say in the classics, the answer is a number as a point of departure. And then after that, you tell us where the money went. Well, I would just say that when people cannot give you a straight answer, invariably it's because they don't have one. But I wouldn't want to jump to conclusions. Thank you very much, Simon Atwell, manager and co-founder of the band Freshly Ground. I think asking a very valid question, and it's great that Tim Cohn has brought this into the public realm through the publication he's now involved with, the website Currency News. Do go and check it out. It's a really good story and a really, really good question. Where's the money? Who's getting it? And I don't want to jump to conclusions, but if they said, hey, the money is being streamed to the campaign to fight malaria or whatever it might be, it's going into building these football facilities or that, generally, if that's what's happening, people have a very quick answer, and usually if it's an email, it's accompanied by pictures and an annual report if they think you're persistent enough. So let's see what else we can find out about this. We'll try and get hold of both FIFA and Sony. It's 3 minutes to 4.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabota, 1 to 3 p.m.
The reality is they shame their kids because they're shaming themselves. So where do we even begin to undo that?
It's such an interesting example that you've given, because I think it's not only parent-child, but you start finding this even in romantic relationships, where there's these expectations of, if my mother or my grandmother could do this, why can't you? And we don't realize that what was the cost that your grandmother paid.
Please repeat that again, because just because your grandmother or your mother or your grandfather or father could do it also doesn't mean that they should have done it, and doesn't mean that they were happy to do it.
Yeah, or that it's consequence-free.
Clinical psychologist and founder of Cohesive Collaboration, Sikandar Kalla.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabota.
Let's walk the talk.
At the heart of global conversations shaping the future, Africa's voice matters more than ever. As Africa's largest bank by assets and lead sponsor of the B20 Summit, Standard Bank Group is proud to spotlight the continent's growth, partnerships and potential on the world stage. Through informed dialogue and powerful partnerships, Standard Bank is driving sustainable growth where it matters most. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Unfold extraordinary with the brand new Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7 5G 512 gig. Get it on a 6 gig Red Core plan from $1,749 per month over 36 months and double your storage with Vodacom, Mzansi's winning 5G network. Enhance your deal. Add $149 extra per month and get the Galaxy Watch 8 eSIM and Galaxy Buds 3. Available in-store and online. T's and C's apply. Further together, Vodacom.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
702 Drive. So a lot of you are continuing to come to us with your inventions. Ikshan, who says, I think the best invention is the brick oven. Without it, your toiling in the wheat fields will be for naught. And then says, biscuits. Okay. I don't think I have ever cooked in a brick oven. In fact, it's not a question of saying I don't think I have. I know for certain that I absolutely never, ever have at all. Coming up on 702 Drive after 4 o'clock, we're going to chat to Advocate Pikkie Greef. He's National Secretary of the South African National Defence Union. Strong story in City Press, I think it was. We'll double check that. Talk of the army going on a 34 million rand luxury trip on a chartered flight to Cuba. A whole lot of generals going to Cuba to bring back students who had been studying there. I've flown to Cuba. You can definitely get there on commercial flights, so I'm not sure why that was not possible, but there you go. This in the context of two things. Last week's story about how only one helicopter was able to get to the Eastern Cape during the floods, and don't forget the SANDF has a peacetime set of missions and responsibilities as well. That because there's no money for spares and maintenance to fix the aircraft. And then of particular concern to the Defence Union itself, millions in unpaid money that was meant to be paid to soldiers who are out in the Eastern DRC. Pikkie Greef with us at 4:10.
This is EWN.
Gayton McKenzie claims some of his racist tweets are AI generated, and National Health Department to engage Operation Dudula. Good afternoon, I'm Munki Zikoko. Patriotic Alliance leader Gayton McKenzie says the backlash he's attracted over racially charged social media posts are part of a political campaign against him in the run-up to the next year's local government elections. He singled out the EFF and Action SA as feeling threatened by the inroads his party is making in by-elections. Political parties have lodged various complaints against McKenzie since he announced he planned to sue podcasters who made derogatory remarks about coloured people. In an ex-post today, McKenzie has apologized for slurs he's made in the past, saying he's been stupid and a troll. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
Gayton McKenzie, who's also the Sport, Arts and Culture Minister, says he's fired 2 mobilizers for the party, including a Cape Town pastor for using racial slurs. As a person of mixed heritage, born of a Sotho mother, McKenzie says he's never referred to anyone using the K word.
Now, for me to be using the K word and to be racist, are you saying that I hate my mother?
McKenzie says he's made several changes to his party's caucuses in Parliament and in Metro councils to ensure they are racially diverse. He says EFF leader Julius Malema and Action SA leader Herman Mashaba feel threatened by his political influence.
They want us out of the GNU so that they can come in. So Mashaba and Malema was had meet by the ballot box.
McKenzie says he won't succumb to pressure to resign because he's determined to do a good job in his ministerial portfolio. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
Let's turn to this. Judiciary Monitoring Group, Judges Matter, says it's high time the country's judiciary doubles down on its zero tolerance for abuse of power. This after Chief Justice Mandisa Maya announced a landmark sexual harassment policy for the South African judiciary on Women's Day at the weekend. The 25-page document is part of efforts to address long-standing claims of sexual harassment in the legal fraternity. This includes the most recent troubling case against Eastern Cape Judge President Selbie Mbenenge who's accused of making unwanted sexual advances towards High Court Secretary Andiswa Mengo between 2021 and 2022. The newly introduced policy outlines clear procedures for addressing complaints of sexual misconduct in the judiciary and disciplinary measures against offenders. Coordinator at Judges Matters, Alison Tilley, weighs in on the move.
The idea is to establish a gender desk in the office of the Chief Justice, and people would be able to go and complain there, but in different ways. So you don't have to do a full-on Judicial Service Commission complaint like Ms. Mengo had to do. You can also raise a concern in confidence, ask for mediation.
Tilley says the policy also seeks to address the skewed power dynamics that make it hard for complainants to come forward.
It does do that, and then it also creates the reporting mechanism, so you don't have to directly confront somebody who is your boss or maybe your boss's boss, but you can then go to the gender desk and report it there and talk through your options.
The Health Department has reached out to Operation Dudula in hopes of finding a lasting solution to their frustration over foreign nationals using public healthcare facilities. The department has condemned ongoing protests by the group, citing foreign nationals cannot be prevented from getting health services simply because of their nationality. The invitation to engage from the department comes as members demonstrate outside the Lillian Ngoyi Community Clinic in Soweto this afternoon over the same matter. Now, police are monitoring the protests to maintain law and order. Health Department spokesperson Foster Mohale.
We have since reached out to the leadership of Operation Dudula for a sit-down meeting in order to find long-lasting solution to these challenges. Of course, this is a societal issue. It's not mainly about health, but we believe that with sober minds, we can be able to find long-lasting solution.
In the Western Cape, Manenberg police are searching for the killers of a 30-year-old woman. According to preliminary information, an unknown number of suspects drove by in a vehicle, opening fire and fatally wounding the victim on Women's Day. The police's Malcolm Puji has called on the public to come forward with any information.
The circumstances and motive forms part of continued investigation. The suspects are yet to be identified and apprehended. We appeal to anyone with information to contact Crime Stop at 08600 10111.
And Australia will recognize a Palestinian state at the United Nations General Assembly in September. The news was announced by Prime Minister Anthony Albanese today. Australia's announcement comes as Canada, France and the United Kingdom are preparing to formally recognize Palestine at the meeting next month, joining a vast majority of UN member states. The Palestinian Authority, which controls parts of the Israeli-occupied West Bank, says the recognition of statehood shows growing support for self-determination of its people. Israel, which is under increasing pressure to end the war in Gaza, has said recognizing a Palestinian state rewards terrorism. Gold is trading at $3,359.82 an ounce. The rand is at 17.76 to the dollar, 23.84 to the pound, 20.64 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $66.93 a barrel.
Accident seen in Germiston, N3 northbound near the Geldenays interchange, causing delays heading towards Bedford View. Also still in Germiston, heading towards Boksburg, Brakpan area roadworks, causing about a 20-minute delay on the N17 eastbound between Osborne and Rondebolt.
In your sport, Siya Kolisi started number 8 for the Springboks Rugby Championship opener against the Wallabies. Gwena Mapaga breaks world record in the Proteas T20 defeat to Australia. And Crystal Palace lose their appeal against their demotion from the Europa League.
A fine start for Gauteng tomorrow, otherwise partly cloudy. Johannesburg drops to an overnight low of 5 degrees and peaks at a high of 20. Pretoria 7 and 21, Vereeniging 2 and 22. The top story in EWN this hour, Patriotic Alliance leader Gayton McKenzie says the backlash he's attracted over racially charged social media posts are part of a political campaign against him in the run-up to next year's local government elections.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
on 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, yeah, boy, this issue around Gayton McKenzie, Minister Gayton McKenzie, Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, continues to wend its way through the national conversation. Lots of different views being expressed. Love to get yours on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. If you were to strip out the politics and the party politics and the politicians, what for you is the issue here? What do you think are the most important things that this is laying bare about the way South Africans speak about each other, speak to each other, post on social media about each other? Is this conversation taking us towards anything productive at all? Or is it just turning now into a spat where the individuals rather than the issues are becoming much more important? Give me a thought on that on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. It's 9 minutes past 4.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, Dr. John and 702 listeners. For me, the best invention is the light bulb. We know from the beginning, God created day and night. So somebody needed to create something that will be able to take care of the night or the darkness. So the light bulb remains one of the best inventions. Thank you.
Hi, John and team. I think the best ever invention is the flushing toilet. What we would have done without toilet flushing, Mac Kempton Park.
Hi, Dr. John. It's Manford here. You know, my best invention ever, I'll say ever, it's electricity. My. Without that, I don't know. That's electricity for me. Thank you.
Thank you for those. We asked a little bit earlier, if you're just wondering why we're talking about inventions. Well, that's because we said, what for you is the best invention ever? Life-changing, transforming. And as I said at the time, and I'll repeat it, you can talk about things that have absolutely changed the way humankind has gone about the business of living and developing and growing, or it might just be something that's made your own personal life much, much better. Give us a call on 011 883 0702 072 702 1702. Let's find out what's happening out on the roads.
EWN Traffic.
This Eyewitness News Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance in partnership with 702. Karabo Chale is the man keeping an eye on things. Germiston, we got problems.
Yeah, there's an accident scene at Germiston heading towards Bedford View N3 northbound near the Geldenays interchange, and this is causing heavy delays leaving Alberton. There's also roadworks causing about a 20-minute delay. Still in Germiston heading towards Boksburg, Brakpan area. That's the N17 eastbound between Osborne and Rondebold. Devland heading into Eldorado Park. Roadworks causing major delays on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue. Also in the Protea Glen area, there's slow-moving traffic. That is on the R559 main road opposite GOG Gardens. Lenasia expect some delays also due to roadworks. This is on the Golden Highway between Fun Valley and the R554 Nirvana Drive. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a work commuter. She's done this route 1,000 times. Perhaps she's daydreaming of a different job or just counting down to the weekend. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just another car in traffic. It's anticipation on the move. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP. The Midday Report.
Weekdays
12 to 1.
The Communications Workstream love a good government lexicon, briefing the media on the state of readiness to host the first national convention. Mandy, this whole issue around the national dialogue is a total waste of time and money. We all know what is wrong in our country. Dear Mandy, how can I join the national dialogue? I too would love a free flight to Pretoria, a lekker jol, an all expenses paid hotel. I'll take my Johnny Walker with 2 ice cubes.
The Midday Report
With Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Quantum science has the potential to shape South Africa's next wave of innovation and global competitiveness. This Wednesday, 702 Drive with me, John Perlman, will be in conversation with Wits University's Professor Andrew Forbes as they unpack the country's quantum strategy and what it means for our future. We'll also explore the breakthroughs in quantum computing, imaging and photonics happening at Wits. Don't miss 702 Drive with me, John Perlman, this Wednesday in conversation with Wits University, 3 to 7 p.m. Shining a light on quantum futures. Wits for good on 702.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Right, let's get into this story now. I think it's an important one. In the part of my Sunday reading, I came across this one. I just want to properly credit the authors of that. City Press, Erika Gibson, I know, is one of those. But they've reported on, the other is Davi Bunzai. There we go. Now, they reported how the Department of Defense spent 34 million rand on a chartered flight to bring 212 students back from Cuba, with at least 25 generals and commanders traveling in business class. Now, this was a chartered flight, but according to the story, the chartered flight, as I said, costing 34 million rand, and the department specified, amongst other things, that the business class cabin of the aircraft must include, quote, gourmet snacks, fine cutlery, plush pillows, and luxury catering. At least 25 business class seats were reserved for the generals and commanders. There were also 19 Cuban nationals who were on the flight heading to Cuba. Not sure who they were or why we were covering their flying costs, but there you go. So let's find out how this all fits in with some of the other issues facing the South African National Defence Union. Advocate Pikkie Greef is National Secretary of that union and joins us now. Advocate Greef, this all comes at a time when your members are unable to get money they say is owed to them from the time they spent putting their lives at risk, some of them paying the ultimate price in the eastern part of the DRC. Before we get into that chartered flight, what's the state of that particular issue?
Good afternoon, John, and to the listeners as well. There's some good news on that front in terms of the allowances that were due and payable. Most of it has been paid during the month of July. And we're engaging the employer further. In fact, this week, the Military Bargaining Council is sitting, and we'll be engaging them to understand exactly how they determine these allowances and whether there's still money due to these soldiers. And if so, we'll certainly make sure that they get it.
What do you make of this? I mean, this was the graduation ceremony on the 13th of July. SANDF students, some of them studying medicine, some of them studying engineering in Cuba. It is possible to get from Cuba to South Africa on commercial airlines. I mean, one example would be you fly to Paris and then you fly home.
No, look, it's entirely understandable that, all the activities in the Defence Force should go on, but one should also be discerning given the situation in which the Defence Force finds itself. Is it really necessary for that amount of people or number of people to go to a graduation ceremony? That's the first question that needs to be asked. And then secondly, of course, obviously it's not going to be necessary. If there were fewer people, then commercial flights would probably have been more viable in terms of logistics and so on. But that's exactly where the Defence Force is failing itself now in its explanation. It's saying, yes, but the group was too big to let them fly commercially. So, if you make the maths on this, it works out, to put it in perspective, 160,000 rand per person for that flight. Certainly no commercial airline would have charged you that.
Yeah, I'm just looking. You can get Havana to Paris for 9,600 rand. We're busy putting our little travel agency service together. But what does this, though, reflect about the SANDF and the way money gets spent? Because we're always told there is no money for crucial things like the maintenance of aircraft. Last week we were engaging with concerns around the fact that there was only one helicopter that was able to fly, one Oryx available to go to the Eastern Cape during the floods. And we're constantly told no money for maintenance, no money for spares, etc., etc. And yet there is money that gets spent on all sorts of things. For example, we got all those medicines during COVID and never got that money back.
John, you see, this is the thing. It's the Defence Forces make it extremely difficult for us as people who advocate for the enlargement of the defence budget, so that we can get the Defence Force up and running in a proper way, and even to try and convince politicians that we're kind of batting for a bigger defence budget, and then this kind of thing happens. It's incredibly frustrating, and it's a gigantic own goal. I think the priorities is skewed sometimes a lot. We've got, for instance, we've got a grader that is supposed to clear up runways for the Roy Falk helicopter to practice its landings. That grader has been out of service for the past 4 years, and it's a simple part that's short. But suddenly there's a magic carpet of 34 million rand, to entertain and wine and dine people on a graduation ceremony. It just doesn't make sense. It's very frustrating.
Who's fighting the soldiers' corner apart from Sandu? I mean, are there any generals in the SANDF, for example, people in senior positions in the ministry who are actually trying to get the spending priorities properly aligned?
John, I would like to believe so, although those people won't speak out loud. Unfortunately, at this stage, the Defence Force top management is completely blind, it seems, and I say this with all the greatest of respect, but it seems to be blind on its mistakes, and there's really a lack of accountability. And you see the reaction that when the thing is stirred up in public, then immediately a defensive posture is assumed, instead of simply trying to explain why they made illogical decisions. I hope that there's generals in there batting for the soldier in general, but I can certainly tell you there's amongst the ordinary rank and file, there's a lot of criticism going on and dissatisfaction with the way in which things are run, especially after the DRC.
What do you reckon is the if there was some greater prioritizing? I mean, this thing with the grade is insane, and could have been dealt with and should have been dealt with ages ago, Advocate Greef. But if there was to be some refocusing, some tighter control over the budget, where would you spend the money? Would it be on hiring? Would it be on equipment? What would you spend the money on?
I think the first thing is a utility issue, John. Is we've got our troops in the SANDF are buying their own boots. Some of the deployments are down to 1 meal a day or 1 or 2 meals a day. We start with the utilities and looking after the soldiers' basic needs first. They're not luxuries. They're things that the Defence Force is supposed to be delivering so that the morale is kept higher. The second thing would be obviously a spend on equipment and updating of systems. That's very important. Soldier can be outfitted correctly, but if his equipment is outdated and unmaintained, then that is a problem. And the third thing in equipment, I would say the most important thing would probably be the aircraft. Because without the aircraft, you are you are to a large scale measure, you are basically rendered immobile.
I would imagine from what you've just said, Advocate Greef, that a soldier who has to buy his or her own boots will fairly soon be thinking, maybe I should be doing something else.
No, for sure. There's a lot of people who are thinking, especially after this DRC fiasco, and I refer to the fiasco not as criticism to our soldiers, but as a criticism to the way in which the deployment was handled by the management. Why would a person with a fairly middle-class salary be spending 2,500 rand per month on boots if he has a family to feed? Well, not per month, but 2,500 rand when they buy boots. And, you need boots about every 2 years anyway. So, people get the feeling that they're not being looked after, that they are forgotten, that they're not being heard. And that's demoralizing. Obviously, a lot of them and a lot of specialist soldiers, which is a great concern to us as a union, a lot of specialist specialist soldiers are considering leaving the service. And, that creates, to a certain extent, also a kind of a danger because some of those specialized trained soldiers get some pretty questionable jobs out there in the international arena.
And just finally, I mean, this thing that the point you made that the money that is owed to soldiers has pretty much been paid up. Has that been done in a way that suggests it won't happen again? Or is this one of those things where, okay, well, we settle the problem and we settle it for now, but it's likely to emerge again?
I'm afraid it's going to emerge again unless there is a proper agreement in the Military Bargaining Council on how these allowances are determined, how they're calculated, and how they're spent. Definitely the soldier has a say in that because part of that is a benefit of service, which is, in terms of law, that the employer is obligated to negotiate with the union.
Thank you very much, Pikkie Greef, who is the head of the South African National Defence Union, joining us here on 702 Drive. It really is what's the word? It's a kind of a tsunami some days when you read the papers. I looked at the Sunday papers yesterday and looked at the papers today. There's this SANDF story, 34 million rand, 25 generals off to a graduation ceremony, gourmet snacks, etc., etc. I worked out that you could get use commercial flights. You could get 250 people to Havana and back for about 10 million rand, and that's conservative. That's 40,000 a flight. I'm looking at Joburg to Paris, which is Air France is offering Johannesburg to Havana for 18,000 rand, 19,000 rand. So that's not asking people to go via Bangkok or anything absurd. It's a fairly direct way. You could also go via Latin America using LATAM or one of those airlines and so on. But yeah, it just keeps on coming. Later in the show, we're going to hear yet another story of an extraordinary amount of money just being splashed out. And it does not seem, despite the very, very best efforts of organizations like the Hawks, the SIU, the Auditor General, there's a fight back. There really is a fight and an effort to prevent this money from being absolutely and entirely squandered virtually whenever it is available. And I get that. And within government, there are people making sure that things are bought that are needed to something approximating the right price. But it really is kicking into the wind, if you want to use a rugby analogy. We seem to be playing the entire game inside our own 22 when it comes to this corruption, because the volume on any given day, go to a few websites, open a few newspapers, watch TV for an hour, listen to 702 for 2 or 3, and you can't help feeling this is a flood. I don't know if we need an ark. I wonder what we'd pay for the ark. Probably be the going rate for an ark plus 300 to 400%. 26 minutes past 4.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
John, Mike here. I think it's the transistor. Well, and then maybe the silicon chip after that. The transistor surely changed everything.
Hi, John. I think one of the best inventions has to be written word. I don't know if it was invented as such, but I think just written word and capturing it, distributing it. So I don't know if I could say the printing press or so forth, but I just think us developing written word has been a really important and pivotal aspect in our evolution as a species.
Yeah, I was just Googling where was the written word first invented? I guess created might be a better word. The cuneiform script, is that the right way to say it? Please just send me a voice note if I've butchered that. Created in Mesopotamia, which is present-day Iraq, 3200 BC was the first evidence of written word. So there we go. The written word, the best thing ever invented. Keep those coming, please, on 072 702 1702. 27 minutes past 4.
EWN EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis, good afternoon to you, the beginning of the week.
Good afternoon to you. I'd say business news was the best thing ever invented, but John, we all know it was radio, so I don't know why we're still having the debate. Indeed, yes, and it was a very busy week for the JSE last week because we got past 100,000 again on the JSE All Share, and there is where we do start a new week. I must just say, though, we are slightly down on the day. The JSE All Share down 0.39% at 100,458. Slightly lower gold prices, I think, having a little bit of an impact on that. And then there was an update from Implats, which has also sort of pushed things down just a little bit, but one or two of the other miners not doing too badly. So the All Share down 0.39% at 100,458 points. Financials up 0.43, industrials down 0.28, and resources down 1.63 at the moment. Quite a lot of sort of corporate news out. So Gemfields, they're confirming today they found a buyer for the Fabergé luxury brand. I don't know if you've ever held one of their eggs, John, or if you have a Fabergé egg collection that you've never told me about or wanted to show me. Lots of shaking of the head there. Neither do I. The entire company is being sold to SMG Capital. It's based in the US. Gemfields will get $50 million for the capital. Impala for the company. Impala Platinum down nearly 4% today. It did report its headline earnings are expected to be down by around 70% compared to the year to the end of June. They're not the only one with an update today. Italtal saying that they expect their headline earnings to be up by just 0.1% to the end of June. It says its retail division's full year results were 2% higher than the previous year, but there's too much manufacturing capacity in the ceramic space. Too many tiles, too few customers, too few people being forced to do DIY at home. And I suspect maybe that's one of the reasons, but they say it makes it very difficult to improve their profits. Sibanye is down nearly 4%. Harmony Gold down nearly 4% as well. And the Foschini Group down 3.6% on the day. Glencore up 2.26%. Capitec and some of the other financial shares up quite nicely. So Capitec's up 1.64%. Equities is up 1.47%. ABSA's up 1.36%. Investec's up nearly a full percent. And then one or two of the property shares as well. So Growth Point is up 1.39% on the day so far. Rainbow Chicken's telling shareholders today they expect their earnings per share to be up by around 200% compared to the previous year to the end of June. That's because of the end of the avian flu outbreak and because there's been a lot less load shedding. US markets opening really flat. I mean, they've just gone positive. The Dow Jones is up 0.04. The Nasdaq is up 0.07. The S&P also up 0.07. John, it's quite a bizarre thing. I don't know if you remember the Biden administration and then the Trump administration said to NVIDIA, you can't sell some of your chips, your specialized AI microchips in China because of national security concerns, if you remember that.
Yes.
And now they're saying you can sell that chip. It's called the H20 chip. You can export it to China, but you have to pay 15% of your earnings as a special tax to the American government. So it was a national security concern, but if you pay us 15% of what you get for it, the national security concern seems to magically fall away.
The art of the deal or something like that.
Well, I think there's certainly a deal. So, yes. The gold price slightly lower, $3,356.18. Platinum, $1,326.03. Brent crude, $66.95. And then the rand roughly where we left it last week, 17.76 to the dollar, 20.60 to the euro, 23.81 to the British pound. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. Let's get the very latest Eyewitness news now with Mongezi Koko. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Ndate John. Good afternoon. Helen Zilla's campaign to run as the Democratic Alliance's mayoral candidate for Johannesburg has received one of its more surprising endorsements from former trade unionist and political commentator Ibrahim Harvey. Harvey says the city is in its worst state of decay since its existence, and Zilla's track record as former Cape Town mayor and Western Cape premier makes her one of the best-suited candidates to arrest the decline. While acknowledging the inequality across the city, he says it's no coincidence that the metro is the best run in the country. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
In a weekend opinion piece, the left-leaning author Ibrahim Harvey, who penned former President Kgalema Motlante's autobiography, says he believes former DA leader Helen Zille has the attributes required to turn the City of Gold around. Zille recently made her intentions known to vie for a second mayoral chain, but the party is yet to make its choice.
When you make such an objective assessment, I think objective, you've got to be non-racial, anti-racist in your views, and I really think, and I believe it, that she's probably the most formidable, confident person.
He's also drawn parallels between inferior apartheid-era education and the way in which cities are being managed.
There is a historical link between competency, skills, and race, color, and ethnicity in this country.
Harvey says the ANC has lost the ideals it once strove for to better the lives of citizens. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
Staying with the DA, it has released what it describes as a 6-point plan aimed at boosting the country's economy. Now, the key priorities include eliminating wasteful government spending, tackling crime and strengthening local government. According to the party, these issues are directly linked to the nation's sluggish economic growth. Speaking at a media briefing today, DA leader John Steenhuisen said the plan is centered on getting the basics right.
What we need to focus on doing is removing the roadblocks to growth and building a new superhighway towards growth and prosperity. Because every single day, people approach myself with stories about how they've been cut out of the economy. On a growing daily basis, myself and the DA and public representatives receive growing urgent appeals of the desperation that many South Africans are feeling. The fact that they do not have a job.
The Portfolio Committee on Community Safety is urging the public to assist law enforcement with any information that could lead to the rearrest of escaped prisoner Jabulani Moyo. The fugitive broke free from police custody while being transported from court to the Boksburg Correctional Facility on Friday. Now, during his escape, Moyo allegedly shot and killed 2 officers, and a manhunt for him is underway. The Portfolio's Bandile Masuku.
The committee calls on government to strengthen mechanisms that ensure the safety of police officers and create conducive working environment for them. Police officers must be empowered and supported in their duties, including being allowed to use necessary force when their lives are in imminent danger.
And South Africa's second oldest Spur restaurant will be closing its doors later this month. The 7 Spur branch in Sea Point has been open for the past 56 years. The restaurant chain is known for serving affordable meals and has become a South African institution well known for waiters singing their iconic birthday song. Spur CMO Vuyo Henda says the branch is closing because the lease has not been renewed and there are plans to redevelop the property.
We are deeply grateful to have served the generations of families at 7 Spur over the decades. Sea Point remains an important community for us, and we are actively looking for alternative sites in the area.
A fine Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, lows of between 5 and 7 degrees and highs of between 20 and 21.
Well, at this stage, Germiston, we're still dealing with that accident scene, N3 northbound. This is near the Geldenes interchange, slowing down traffic. Also, still in the Germiston area, expect heavy delays heading towards Boksburg. This is on the N17 eastbound between Osborne Road and Rondebolt. And there's also slow-moving traffic in the Devland area. This is due to roadworks on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue.
The top story in EWN, Helen Zille's campaign to run as the Democratic Alliance's mayoral candidate for Johannesburg has received one of its more surprising endorsements from former trade unionist and political commentator Ibrahim Harvey.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
The temporary head of visible policing in the Moot district in Pretoria would not be so visible herself if she was patrolling the streets. According to a complaint by the Democratic Alliance, she's never worn a police uniform, has never been trained as an officer. Just a few weeks ago, she was behind bars, facing charges of fraud, corruption, and the abuse of the SAPS's Secret Service funds. Who will guard the guardians?
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
When it comes to protecting your workforce, trust the workwear brand that has been protecting workers for over 150 years, Sweetall. Sweetall has overalls and uniform solutions for every industry, so your team is safe, comfortable, and ready to tackle any challenge. Visit our new Boksburg showroom, shop A1 Atlas Road, Westwood, Boksburg, or go to sweetor.com today. Sweetor, we never let you down. Superior protective workwear since 1871.
Do you know what's hiding behind the colorful packaging of unhealthy food? Big food companies target children with unhealthy packaged foods that hide high levels of sugar, salt, and fat, which could lead to heart disease, diabetes, and hypertension. But the truth is hidden from consumers. Front of package warning labels are a proven solution to help consumers make informed decisions. The government must act now. We have the right to know what's in our food. Demand front of package warning labels. Sign the petition on heala.org, HEALA.org, by the 30th of September.
To live wealthier, you need to be able to grow your assets. At Standard Bank Private, you get a team of internationally acclaimed financial experts to advise you on local and global investment strategies. Plus, being with a leader in home loans, you can start expanding your property portfolio. So, come live wealthier with Africa's best private bank. Apply online at standardbank.co.za. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hello, Dada John. I'm Jalafine Binoni. I think the life-changing invention for all the humankind, it was the establishment of the periodic table. After so many years, no one has ever I'm sure they are attempting to change it, but no one has been successful on trying to change it up until today. I'm not sure if there's still attempts or what, but I don't think anyone is winning. The periodic table of all the elements on Earth and outside of Earth. I think that was the best invention and the discovery of all time. Thanks.
Hi, John. I think one of the best inventions has to be written word. I don't know if it was invented as such, but I think just written word and capturing it, distributing it. So I don't know if I could say the printing press or so forth, but I just think us developing written word has been a really important and pivotal aspect in our evolution as a species.
Yeah, I mean, the printing press came long after written word. As I understand, I think it was Johannes Gutenberg. That was in 1440. Now, was there a printing press before that? Don't think so. The movable type printing press. I don't know if there was other kind of printing. Printers, who know more about this than me and who are perhaps quicker on Google than I get to be, while I'm live on air, do give me a call on that on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. It's sports time.
EWN Sport.
At 19 minutes to 5, Tola Kele, very good afternoon to you. I'm looking at the Springbok lineup. Mani Libok at flyer half. If for some reason his kicking doesn't go well, I don't see another kicker. I could be wrong.
You're correct, John. And Rassie Erasmus has included Apelele Fassi at fullback, Mani Lebak at fly half, and captain Siya Kolisi at 8th man. That's for the Springboks opening rugby championship clash against Australia. Cheslin Colby misses out due to a knee injury, and in his place comes in Edwin van der Merwe. At the same time, Erasmus has discussed his decision to start Lebak and not have another specialist fly half as cover on the bench.
Sasha and Andrew will probably play in Cape Town. We're trying to spread the load a little bit there. And then not having a flyer from a bench. We know Damien can play flyer for us. We've tend to find in the past the only time that we really swap a flyer is maybe if he's having an off day, or when he's missing goal kicks, and Mani's been really slotting them really well. I think the new Rhino Bulls might be a little bit of a difference there. He's really doing well there.
In the Bedway Premiership, there were opening round wins for Kaizer Chiefs, Amazulu, Marumo Gallants, Siwelele and Skakune United, while Mamelodi Sundowns drew with Chipa. Caretaker coach Khalid Bel Youssef believes that Amakosi rode their luck, that's having beaten Stellenbosch 2-0.
And also when you score one goal, you think that the game it will be more easy for you. So to keep concentration and to keep focus in the game, it's difficult for the players. For that, the first half, I think we find some difficulty to finish the first half, and we was lucky. They get two opportunities, Stellenbosch to score, but we was lucky they don't score. Now the most important thing, like we discussed now in the bench, in the change room, finish today this game Stellenbosch, and we start to think about the next game. That's the difficulty for us always to keep second game when after win.
The Spanish Football Federation have named Sonia Bermudez as their new women's head coach as she succeeds Montos Tomé. Tomé was out of contract following Spain's defeat to England on penalties in the Women's Euro 2025 final last month. Bermudez moves up to the top job, having looked after the Spanish under-23s. Over to cricket, where the Proteas will be looking to level their 3-match T20 series against Australia. That's when they meet in the second game tomorrow. South Africa lost the opening clash by 17 runs, despite a top score of 70 from Ryan Rickleton and Gwena Mapaga's 4 for 20.
There's a lot to look forward to. We obviously fell short in the game, but there was still a lot of positives. And it's just about understanding the game a little bit better, reading into the 1%ers, what Australia did that we didn't do as well, and what we can work forward to. And I think it's going to be a really good game tomorrow.
And Dean Burmester sank a 6-foot birdie putt in the first playoff hole to beat John Rahm and Joselie Ballester to win the Live Golf Chicago title. For Justin Rose, he beat JJ Spawn in a playoff to win the FedEx St. June Championship. It's his first PGA Tour triumph in more than 2 years. Tola Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Cars.coza. It's not great out in the eastern part of the city right now.
Yep.
Germiston, the delays start all the way through to Brakpan, I believe.
Yeah, Germiston heading towards Brakpan Benoni roadworks now causing about a 30-minute delay on the N17 eastbound. This is between Osborne and Rondebold. There's also bumper-to-bumper traffic in the Joburg CBD heading towards Boysons M1 South between Killarney Bends and the Crown Interchange, while in Devland we also have roadworks causing huge delays on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue in Protea Glen. Soweto, slow-moving traffic on the R559 main road opposite GOG Gardens. If you come across any other traffic issues, please SMS us on 31702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Hey, Jim, what's wrong? Hi, Bob. I'm just so confused. I'm trying to buy a car, and I don't know where to stop.
Well, have you tried to... Cars.coza, cars.coza.
Have you tried to...
Cars.coza.
Sorry, we're trying to do an advert.
Whatever car you want to buy or sell, cut through the and just go to cars.coza and let's find what moves you. Cars.coza.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. You can listen to us on our app. You can follow us on primediaplus.com. Of course, you have your radios. They may be in your home. They may be in your car. They may be wherever they are, somewhere else in your life. Life is a movable feast. You can listen to radio virtually anywhere. But what we do have as well is we are now on YouTube as well. So if you want to go there, just go to YouTube and type in 702 Drive with John Perlman live. And that ought to get you there. And you'll see, right now, you can see a packed studio. I'm there. Karabo Malapile is there. Karabo Chale is there doing the traffic. Jonathan Fabian Kabazela has stepped in. And Tolakele Mganga is there as well. And some of you are posting comments as well. Gwen says, the 2010 Soccer World Cup song story is very interesting. Hey, FIFA and Sony must answer those questions. FIFA never beats the allegations. Hey, if you wonder what that was all about, you can pick it up on primediaplus.com. We had a chat to one of the founders of the group Freshly Ground, and they're saying that a large part of the royalties, not the royalties paid to them and Shakira and the original creators of the song, as what are called publishers' royalties, those are being sorted out. But the other part of the royalties, he says this is hundreds of millions of rand, was meant to go to charities in Africa, and that's not happening. So we'll follow up that story with a great deal of interest. 13 minutes now to 5.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
We like coming to you with random thoughts and things that pop into our heads, stuff that comes up in conversation between the team or between us as a team and other people. And one of them is something that Jonathan Fairburn has brought to our attention about cultures and other ideas that we get from people with different backgrounds. Kapazela, over to you on that.
Afternoon, John, and to the 702 family. So it was just something that, when you look and learn about different cultures, what are some of the things that you notice around you, especially in South Africa, where we're filled with so many different cultures. And the one kind of thing that I learned when I had joined Prime Media was Mum Prim, whenever you walked into the office, her office would be on the left-hand side, directly where you come in the old building. And sometimes she would have this massive bucket of scones.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, scones, what's happening? Or can we have one? And then I subsequently learned that the scones was for funerals, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that's tied to that was the collections. So, I had never been exposed to much death, in my younger days before, when I joined at 702. And then, in the African community, when you ask for the collections to give to the family as a form of we see you and backing you and Ubuntu and all that kind of thing, which in white culture, you don't do that. You don't give people money for funerals and stuff like that. So those are two things that I thought were really, really special and lovely to learn about.
Yeah, and something very, very topical at 702 and very current for us as we mourn the passing of one of our most beloved team members. What about you, Karabo? Things... Because you have told us before you went to a school with quite a large mix of kids there.
Yes.
I mean, what kind of things did you pick up about other cultures that you found interesting?
Well, I went to a school where it's predominantly white, and I lived in a suburb where there was a lot of white people. Most of my friends were white. So what I learned and picked up from them was a sense of affection. Their parents showed them affection. Their parents hugged them. Their parents gave them that goodbye kiss. Take care of yourself. We love you. But in my family, there wasn't hardly any kind of affection. We knew they loved us, but they never showed or expressed it. So now as an adult, I show a lot of affection to my son. I tuck him in bed. I tell him I love him.
Yes.
I give him the kiss when I drop him off at school, which I never got, which I think it's important.
Very, very interesting. Tola Kelly, stuff?
I think more than culture or religion, in terms of community and the importance of showing up. I remember back when newspapers were quite a big thing. My mom and her best friend would sit on Thursday and they'd actually look. The Sowetan used to write, because that's where they used to do the funeral notices.
Yes.
And if they actually maybe knew someone or went to school with them, it was a chance for them to actually do their farewells, and they would plan and say, on that Saturday we're actually going to go to a funeral. Because now you've got the WhatsApp statuses and people putting it on their statuses to say the funeral is on this day and you can arrive then. But back then you used to count on the newspaper to be the one that informed you that someone you went to school with, or maybe someone that you grew up with, had passed away. And that was the way that you show up for your community, because as we navigate the world now, people like to be islands, but at the end of the day, you need the people to be showing up for you. That's why your mom does the 20,000 societies. There's a reason she's doing that. As I get older, I realize that that's why you do that, because when it comes to a funeral, when it comes to a party, you need those people that do the jobs that some of us aren't willing to do or have never been taught to do them, but you're learning from each other.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. So in our rich cultural mix in South Africa, what have you learned from cultures other than your own? And maybe it's things that you have adopted and made part of your own life. Give us a call on that on 011 883 0702, 9 minutes to 5.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
At this time, the B20 in brief is brought to you by Standard Bank, your weekly window into the key insights and conversations shaping the B20 Summit. Now, every Monday on 702 Drive, 702 and Standard Bank bring you the Standard Bank B20 in brief, your weekly window into the key insights and conversations shaping the 2025 B20 and G20 Summit. As SA prepares to host the G20 Summit, the global spotlight will fall on Sandton, the economic powerhouse of the Gauteng province and arguably Africa's most prominent commercial and financial district. But beyond the symbolism of hosting the world's most influential economic leaders, the G20 offers a rare opportunity to reset how we think about urban development, resilience, and the value of public-private collaboration in shaping African cities. Here to talk more about this is Amelia Beattie, who's head of business efficiencies, property, and sustainable impact at Standard Bank Group. Ms. Beattie, welcome and thanks very much for your time. It's good to have you with us. The Sandton City Precinct and its involvement in hosting the G20 Summit, what exactly does that consist of? I know it'll be conference venues, but presumably we're looking at hotels, restaurants, shops, and so on.
Thanks, John, and great to speak to you this afternoon. It's an exciting time for the Sandton Precinct. For us, we really anticipate a big boost in our business tourism. All our hotels are already fully booked. We've got the Sandton Sun and Towers, and the convention center, obviously also our property. The restaurants all over the city, Sandton City and Nelson Mandela Square are gearing up for this, and as well as the shops. So the tenants here are really ready to show the world what local shopping is about and that we can compete on the world standard. But it's more than that. It's also to showcase what we have as a business and how we support the growing of our country. And we are very much part of that microcosm that can make possible where a model of a precinct that are managed in an integrated way as the economic hub of South Africa can really drive how the world will see us as they arrive here.
Yeah, I mean, what are the kind of specific opportunities for Sandton but beyond? I mean, I'm not just thinking of the precinct. Many people's minds will go to Sandton City, the area where the Nelson Mandela statue is, and so on. But if you were to do kind of ripple effects, concentric circles, I would have thought the benefits are going to spread pretty widely because not everybody's going to get to stay right in the hub.
Benefits are definitely going to spread and ripple widely. We will see how the impact of how the Sandton precinct is managed will already rippling through some other precincts in the city of Johannesburg, and using the same way to manage security and make will become a way that the world can view the opportunities for development here. You know, this must be more than just an invitation to draft more papers. It has to be a call to act so that we can show that there are already infrastructure opportunities that people can invest in. There are investments in technology and digital connectivity. And then specifically the green and sustainable initiatives that we have will be very important. It is a core priority of the G20, climate resilience and sustainability. And I think as urban nodes, we have really adapted well to that and embrace some of these initiatives. And that will also be an opportunity to showcase that and to attract more sustainability-linked investment.
And just finally, I mean, the larger conversation is, of course, about global concerns, but a strong thread through that, Ms. Beattie, is opportunities for the African continent. I'm mindful of how when the Football World Cup was here, the slogan was, "This is a World Cup for all of Africa." Is there a way, as, for example, as Standard Bank, that you also trying to make sure the conversation is inclusive of the rest of the continent?
Absolutely. We've got some alternative avenues that exist to sustain that momentum. And one opportunity will lie in strengthening African trade, supported by preferential rates that can boost regional economic integration. And while the US has scaled back on its funding commitments, European funders have increasingly stepped in to fill the gap and providing some support to the African continent. Africa is our home. We drive
Yes.
our growth, as we say at Standard Bank.
Thank you so much. Amelia Beattie is Head of Business Efficiencies, Property and Sustainable Impact at Standard Bank Group. At the heart of global conversations shaping the future, Africa's voice matters more than ever. As Africa's largest bank by assets and lead sponsor of the B20 Summit, Standard Bank Group is proud to spotlight the continent's growth partnerships and potential on the world stage. Through informed dialogue and powerful partnerships, Standard Bank is driving sustainable growth where it matters most. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
The saga playing itself out in the Eastern Cape involving the Judge President Selby Menenge to see the need for such a policy. It's a 25-page document. What are some of the key elements to it, do you think?
It defines what sexual harassment is. And I think that is imperative considering that a lot of people actually don't know how to define the term and they don't know how it can manifest in different ways.
Makatso Nchodu is a legal researcher and advocacy officer at Judges Matter, reflecting on the sexual harassment policy that was announced by Chief Justice Mandisa Samaya.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
The Johannesburg Philharmonic Orchestra returns for the second week of the early spring symphony season under the baton of conductor May-Ann Chen, joined by captivating pianist Judith Jauregui. The program includes favorites by Mozart, Haydn and Beethoven. This concert is not to be missed. Thursday, 14 August at 7:30 p.m. at the Linda Auditorium. Tickets available through Quicket.
Business Outsurance are experts in business insurance for optometrists, surgeons, and other medical specialists. Here's Chrissy.
Business Outsurance is the best insurer for my business. They have great premiums, wonderful service. I know without a doubt that Outsurance has my back, and you always get something out with Outsurance.
Switch to Business Outsurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Visit outsurance.co.za. Switch and save today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
702 Drive still to come on the show. We'll be talking to Sikonati Manchancha, investigative journalist at News 24. This is in regard to a contract that was given for refurbishing a building, 270 million rand paid by the Government Pensions Agency, except the catch is they don't actually own the building. It's a rather strange story, as we often say here on the show. Shocking, but not surprising. That's coming up after 5. It's 5 o'clock.
This is EWN.
8 million rand earmarked for first leg of national dialogue. And DA says no need to expand the GNU. Good afternoon, I'm Mungi Zikoko. The organising committee behind the National Convention has budgeted 8 million rand for a 2-day event which will precede the main dialogue. The committee briefed the media on its readiness today ahead of the convention this weekend. The committee insists it's ready to go ahead despite a withdrawal from the first convention by legacy foundations such as the Thabo Mbeki Foundation. Khomotso Modise has more.
When the former National Dialogue Task Team announced the estimated 700 million rand for the National Dialogue, there was widespread outrage. While President Cyril Ramaphosa ordered a review of this hefty price tag, the bill has started to mount, with the National Convention this weekend projected to cost 8 million rand for 2 days. The convention's organising committee spokesperson, Zwone Butalu.
Including accommodation, travel for the delegates, catering.
The committee says it's managed to save on costs as a free venue was offered by UNISA and several organizations have given donations. The convention will house 1,000 delegates from different sectors of society to outline and agree on the key themes for the national dialogue. Khomza Modise, Eyewitness News, Pretoria.
Meanwhile, political analyst Lukhona Mnguni has warned against the politicizing of the national dialogue following a fallout between government and several legacy foundations. Now, the organizations, which include the Thabo Mbeki and Desmond and Leah Tutu foundations, recently pulled out of the team tasked with prepping for the first national convention and subsequent national dialogue. They cited frustrations over rushed timelines and the slow allocation of resources to get the job done. Concerns have since emerged that the build-up to the national dialogue will degenerate into political squabbles, getting in the way of its agenda to address socio-economic issues. Mnguni says a central and coordinated approach is needed to avert a push and pull over controls, which he believes could undermine the process.
It can be fixed. The president, in the first instance, must open up room to ask some of the elders in our society who are respected and trailblazing young people who are respected to come into the room and share some ideas. I think there's a need of reconfiguring entirely the setup and the multiple, bondokis of power that have been created in this. You need a central coordinating structure that's going to have clear power and authority over this process.
On the political front, with the ANC planning on expanding the government of national unity, DA leader John Steenhuisen says he fails to see the reason behind the move. Last week, the ANC announced it would start inviting opposition parties to join the coalition pact. The plan is included in the party's strategy to strengthen the unity government, which has battled internal squabbles. Speaking at a media briefing in Johannesburg today, Steenhuisen challenged the decision to broaden the GNU. Alfara Moshana was there and filed this report.
During the budget deadlock, the ANC turned to opposition parties for support in passing the fiscal framework after the DA and Freedom Front Plus declined to back it. Following its recent NEC meeting, the ANC resolved that opposition parties that supported the budget likely have an interest in joining the government of national unity. It is for this reason that the party is considering expanding the coalition. However, DA leader John Steenhuisen says he does not believe that this is the right move.
I don't believe that expanding the GNU is going to assist the GNU to go forward. I think it's going to complicate things even further. And I think that there should be rather more energy and focus spent on improving the relations amongst parties within the GNU.
Steenhuisen says the ANC cannot expand the GNU on its own and must first consult its coalition partners. The ANC believes that since it formed the GNU, it has the right to decide on its structure. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg.
The Health Department has reached out to Operation Dudula in hopes of finding a lasting solution to their frustration over foreign nationals using public health facilities. Now, the department has condemned ongoing protests by the group, citing foreign nationals cannot be prevented from getting health services simply because of their nationality. The invitation to engage from the department comes as members demonstrate outside the Lillian Ngoyi Community Clinic in Soweto this afternoon over the same matter. Police are monitoring the protests to maintain law and order. Health Department spokesperson Foster Mahale.
We have since reached out to the leadership of Operation Dudula for a sit-down meeting in order to find long-lasting solution to these challenges. Of course, this is a societal issue. It's not mainly about health, but we believe that with sober minds, we can be able to find long-lasting solution.
And South Africa's second oldest Spur restaurant will be closing its doors later this month. The 7 Spur branch in Sea Point has been open for the past 56 years. Now, the restaurant chain is known for serving affordable meals and has become a South African institution well known for waiters singing the iconic birthday song. Spur CMO Vuyo Heda says the branch is closing because the lease has not been renewed and there are plans to redevelop the property.
We are deeply grateful to have served the generations of families at 7 Spur over the decades. Sea Point remains an important community for us, and we are actively looking for alternative sites in the area.
Gold is trading at $3,346.82 an ounce. The rand is at 17.77 to the dollar, 23.82 to the pound, 20.60 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $66.93 a barrel.
In Groenkloof, Pretoria, slow-moving traffic on George Storer Drive between Leeds and the Fountain Circle. Germiston, we still have those roadworks causing more than a 30-minute delay. This is on the N17 eastbound between Osborne and Rondebold Road, and in the Joburg CBD, bumper-to-bumper traffic, M1 South between Killarney Benz and the Crown Interchange.
In your sport, Adeslam Madu defends leaving Tsegofatso Mabasa out of Orlando Pirates starting 11. Gwena Mapaga not thinking about World Cup selection just yet. And Jake Paul calls out Anthony Joshua.
A fine start for Gauteng tomorrow, otherwise partly cloudy. Johannesburg drops to an overnight low of 5 degrees and peaks at high of 20. Pretoria's at 7 and 21, Vereeniging 2 and 22. The top story in EWN this hour, the organising committee behind the National Convention has budgeted 8 million rand for the 2-day event, which will precede the main dialogue.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 8 minutes past 5. I suppose one of the upsides of investigations into corruption is that you get to hear about government agencies that you didn't even know existed. But boy, do they exist, and boy, do they have a lot of money to spend. This is certainly the case for me with the Government Pensions Administration Agency. I didn't know what they did, but the one thing they are doing is spending 65 million rand refurbishing offices that they actually don't have any access to. They're also leasing some offices, which is going to cost up to 1.2 billion rand. All of this laid bare in an investigation done by Sikonati Manchancha at News 24. He's going to join us with details of that shortly. We'll give you traffic before then, because I know many of you, particularly if you're heading east, are finding yourselves seriously stuck. We'll help you as best we can. Stephen Curtis with an update from the markets, and we'll bring you some really fun music in the second half of the show. It's 9 minutes past 5.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
John, just like the other gentleman said, I think the semiconductor takes the cake, man. In my books, the semiconductor takes the cake.
Very good afternoon to you.
Hi, John. 34 million rand for these generals to catch a flight to Cuba? I mean, that is despicable. And where in all of this corruption that we continue to see throughout the government, is there any accountability? And why do we as taxpayers have to keep putting up with this kind of thing over and over again? I mean, I listen to the news and my blood boils. I do not know how we are supposed to put up with this kind of thing forever. Where is it going to end? Justin from Olivedale.
You know, I mean, Justin, where does it end? Why do taxpayers put up with it? Some people say, well, that's what elections are for. You look at who's doing this. You look at on whose watch this kind of stuff happens. And if you're unhappy with it, you vote for a change. And I think to some degree that happened last year in the elections. But there's another question as well. You know, that the numbers are telephonic in their size. And after a while, I think people become quite numb to it. But I think what has shifted, and shifted very markedly, is we are seeing stuff break to the point where it cannot be fixed, where you simply do not have money, for example, in the city of Johannesburg to fix the roads properly. And even when the roads do get fixed, there's a huge pothole that was fixed near where I live 3 months ago. It's already broken apart. Now, I don't know if it was badly done in the first place because whoever did it didn't know what they were doing, or it was badly done in the first place because they knew exactly what they were doing, that they're going to get money to come back and fix it. And it's that absolute desiccation. That's not the word. It's the destroying of the capacity of the society to do what it should. And we're seeing it now. There isn't money to hire nurses, to hire doctors. Teachers are getting laid off, and so on. These chickens are coming home to roost, but they're not chickens anymore. They're vultures. I shouldn't call them vultures because vultures perform a very, very noble and important service in our society. But I think you get what I mean. These are birds of prey, and we are the prey, I'm afraid. It's 12 minutes past 5.
EWN Traffic.
This Eyewitness News Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance in partnership with 702. Let's get the very latest then from out on the roads as we talk to Karabo Chale about Germiston.
Yeah.
This is not good.
Not good at all, John. At this stage, you can expect about a 30-minute delay. This is leaving Germiston heading towards the Boksburg-Brakpan area, N17 eastbound. This is all due to roadworks between Osborne and Rondebold Road. Also in the Joburg CBD heading towards Boysons. Bumper-to-bumper traffic on the M1 southbound from Killarney Bends to the Crown Interchange. In Devland, there's roadworks causing heavy delays on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue, while in Protea Glen, Soweto, traffic remains heavily backed up on the R559. That's Main Road opposite GOG Gardens. And in the city of Tshwane, Groenkloof, there's slow-moving traffic on George Storer Drive between Lades and the Fountain Circle. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Clever late excuse number 75. I had to rescue my neighbor's cat from a tree. Yeah, right. Fortunately, with the Outsurance pointsmen on the roads, you no longer have to come up with creative excuses for being late. The Outsurance pointsmen easing traffic congestion and getting you there quickly and safely since 2005. Outsurance really means it when they say you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702. Show them some love online using #PointsmenLove. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Right, let's get into this story. News 24 revealing over the weekend that the Government Pensions Administration Agency, which administers the pension assets of the government employees' pension fund, which, as you all know, is an absolutely massive pool of money, have agreed and given tenders to design internal office space that's going at a handsome 26.7 million rand. And there are refurbishment contracts as well, which are going for large chunks of money as well. 35.9 million rand for that particular part of the contract. Here's the catch. This is for offices to which the GPAA, to give it its short term, a shortened form of the rather longer name, these are for offices that it has no access to. It is a quite extraordinary story, and to talk about it, we're joined now by the person who's done the digging and written the piece, Sikonati Manchancha, joining us from News 24. Sikonati, you've seen a lot of very strange things in your life as a journalist in terms of contracts designed to rip off the public purse. But I would have thought contracts for refurbishing offices that are not yours must be quite near the top of the pile.
John, this is absolutely amazing that such a deal could be done. And of course, I must say you have only mentioned the smallest amounts in both respects.
Yes.
The total figure jumps to about 1.2 billion rands overall for the lease and for the refurbishment of an office that neither of the parties own or have access to or have leased. And yes, if we could have our fiction writers do a story on this, I don't think they could come up with something as magnificent as this.
So tell us, I mean, the Government Pensions Administration Agency, is it a standalone or does it fall under a ministry, and if so, which one?
It falls under the Minister of Finance, who
Okay.
is currently Enoch Godongwana, and the Government Pensions Administration Agency is an entity that was created by the government in 2010 to provide the administration services to the Government Employees Pension Fund, which manages more than 3 trillion rands worth of assets belonging to civil servants, employees of the government, current and past pensioners.
So in terms of the way in which these deals were done, I'm looking at your piece, you're saying there was no tender for either of these particular contracts. How much money has been paid across so far?
John, so far 62 million rands has been paid across in two transactions, the two that you mentioned, which went without any tender process in contravention of the Public Finance Management Act. And these are, one, to Diacamo Architects to design the internal offices inside, to go inside that building that they want to lease for the next 10 years, design and decide how the offices will be spaced and partitioned, and two, to a company called Shula Developers to actually implement the architectural designs that they would have received from Diacamo. Diacamo was paid 26 million rands for this design work. And of course, Shula Developers was paid 35.9 million rands. The staggering thing here, John, is that one, Diacamo did not have access to the building to look and check its plans and then do its own designs so that it can space and house the people properly. Two, Shula Developers still does not have access to the same building to implement the designs that it would have received. Now I need to, John, do the listeners a favor and go back and say, Shula Developers is the company that won the tender to actually lease the building for 10 years to the GPAA, Government Pensions Administration Agency, in a tender that smacked of irregularities and possible criminal activity, wherein it won the tender, whereas it does not own the building, it does not have access to the building, and the building has never been offered for sale to Shula Developers by the current owners, Attack Limited, which has confirmed the same to me.
What you're saying now, Sikonati, really touches on one of my huge bugbears. And tell me if I've understood this correctly. The way so many government departments seem to go about their tendering is they create cost layers. I mean, for example, if you're leasing this building, why don't you just lease it from the people who own it? Why create another layer of cost, a middle person who presumably is not adding any material value, but simply a layer of cost?
John, in that instance, you are talking about a legitimate deal that is being deliberately laden with additional costs so people could take a cut. In this instance, Shula Developers does not own the building, does not have any negotiations, has had no dealings with whatsoever with Attack, the owner of the building. So they probably just pointed at a building and said, we'll lease you that one. And the GPAA's tender people went and stood outside and looked at the office and said that will do. In competition, there were three other buildings that were offered, but one by the Public Investment Corporation, two by SKG Africa, and three by another company whose name just escapes me at this particular moment. Those did comply with the requirement in the GPAA's own specifications that they should provide proof that they own the building or have entered into a transaction to buy the building. This Shula did not do. It did not provide any proof that it owns the building or is buying the building. But it just said, it wrote a letter and said, that is the building that we have entered into a deal to buy that building, which Attack confirmed to me is totally untrue. So this then makes this the whole thing a fictitious and a fraudulent deal.
Sikonati Mantshantsha, thank you. We will watch for later episodes of this particular story, another few hundred million, just goes south. And we do not have money, we are told, to hire recent medical graduates, no money for teachers, no money for helicopters so that they can fly to the Eastern Cape and fulfill the SANDF's peace mandate. We cannot keep on shipping cash in these ridiculous ways. It is, and the crudity of the scheme. I urge you to go to News 24 if you've got access and just read Sikonati's piece. I mean, it is so crudely done. Nobody can say they were fooled by any kind of artfulness. It is absolutely blatant. 22 minutes past 5.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Well, coming up towards the end of the week, I assume corruption and the looting of the public purse will at least in part be on the agenda. You could argue that if it's not and dealt with in some substantial way, is there really any point in talking about anything else? Sorry, but that's just the way I'm feeling about these things today. But the first national convention is taking place in 4 days' time, 15 and 16 August to be precise, at the UNISA main campus. There will be 1,000 delegates running the proceedings, and making the agenda coherent, I would have thought, is going to be something of a challenge. And then, of course, there's the question of funding as well. That's another thing we might be able to use the money for, I guess. Reverend Zoitwaho Nebutalu is the National Convention spokesperson and joins us now on 702 Drive. Reverend, thanks very much for giving us your time ahead of this National Convention. 1,000 delegates, how were they chosen? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John. They were... there was a preparatory task team, which was busy working on the convention, and they also had subcommittees. So they looked at the totality of the South African society in terms of the sectors, and an allocation was made to every sector to make 1,000 delegates as close as possible to a representative sample of the 60 million South Africans, because it is the citizens-led initiative.
Realistically, Reverend, what can get done in 2 days? Is this a kind of agenda-setting, clearinghouse of ideas ahead of a much larger conversation, or are there more specific goals than that?
It is a kick-off, John, of the most important thing is the actual dialogues, which are going to take place at communities and schools, universities, churches, wards, media, interviews. Those are the dialogues. But the convention is really for people to gather, to look at the process, look at the methodology, look at indicative themes, and agree on the steering committee to steer the whole process going forward, because there's not been an inclusive process to determine the steering committee. Even me, that I'm talking here as a spokesperson, that's why I'm saying I'm just a spokesperson for the convention, not on the dialogues, because that is going to be decided by the steering committee.
In terms of what can realistically be achieved, though, I mean, there's an indicative theme, for example, I think that was your phrase, could be joblessness and how to tackle it. But if you don't come up with a set of interventions or study groups to develop those interventions, in many ways, aren't we just making a shopping list of the country's woes?
No, that is going to happen later on, John, because as I can explain to you, we are going to have dialogues which are going to run for a number of months in communities. These dialogues are flanked by 2 conventions. The first convention is what you rightfully refer to as agenda setting, but then there's going to be the last convention, which is going to consolidate all the issues coming from the dialogues into a social compact. But before that happens, there will then be a conversation of the things that you are talking about, the interventions. That will happen more towards the second convention.
I'm trying to picture a dialogue. Let's take, for example, in the Dietsorbotla local municipality, the main town there, Lichtenburg. I'm not sure if it's been renamed. Reverend, I could imagine people gather together and say, this is a town full of potential, but because the municipality allowed things to deteriorate in the way that they did, the main people who are operating there, which I think was Clover, decided to move, and therefore we've lost jobs and we've lost revenue. All of these things are important. All of these things are valid. But candidly, all of these are things we already know, and that people who are actually paid good money to run the governmental affairs of the Northwest province ought to have set about trying to fix this. I mean, I get that we'll all feel good after all these dialogues have been held, but will we be any the wiser, do you think? And if so, in what way?
Yeah, much wiser. We might know these things. They're coming up. They're springing from different directions. Sometimes it's really fires coming up. People are complaining about this and that. But we have never had a disciplined way of getting from South Africans not only the issues, but tapping on their resources to come up with the solution of those issues and the vision for the country. So there is going to be an app that is going to register every dialogue and every issue which is being tackled. So you will be able to see the trends that comes through in communities, not just speculated or anecdotally.
Yes.
In some way, this is a very scientific methodology.
How is it scientific? I mean, it's gatherings of people voicing issues that are largely familiar, gathered on an app with no clear idea of who's going to take that data and use it to make a difference.
Yes, scientific in the sense that you'll be able to say quantitatively so many dialogues are actually which were of South Africans were concerned about this issue, and this is the solution that they are offering on that particular issue. So that's why it's going to be much more scientific than just to pick up the issue here, pick up the issue. It's the first coordinated way of us South Africans engaging in a dialogue. But there's more to it. The dialogue itself, even not looking at the product of it, the hope is that South Africans will move closer to engage as South Africans across religion, across races. Look at the values. Look what makes us South Africans. What we're proud about as South Africans. So that whole process of dialoguing has got a big impact on the social cohesion of our country.
Thank you very much. Reverend Nebutalo is spokesperson for the National Convention. Right from the beginning of this announcement, I have been skeptical. I remain skeptical. But you tell me, do you feel in the community where you live, if you all get together and have some kind of facilitated dialogue and your grievances are properly logged and available on an app, do you feel that'll move your community forward? I am so keen to be wrong. But as I say, at the moment, I remain skeptical. Anyway, we will see. It's definitely going to happen, so we'll watch it closely and draw our own conclusions. Most crucially, we want yours. Time for business. Stephen Curtis, good afternoon.
EWN Business.
Stephen, the market's closed beginning of the week. What's happening?
Yeah, a little bit down, John. Down 0.22% at 100,630, the JSE All Share. Financials are nice there, 0.73. Industrials down 0.12 and resources down 1.5. Both platinum and gold down today. Not entirely surprising. But gold obviously had such a strong run, and that's pushed some of those shares down today. Some other shares, like Glencore and some of the financial shares, coming up quite nicely. Capitec up 1.84. Absa up 1.79. Growth Point Properties, they had a big announcement today. They ended the day up up 1.5%. Their SA business head, Estienne de Klerk, will take over as CEO next year. The current CEO, Norbert Sass, is retiring. He's been running the company for over 20 years, John. Quite a big day for updates, actually. So Impala Platinum, their shares down by 3.81%. I must say, though, they're not the only platinum share that was down. Sabanya's down 4%. Northern is down 2.87%. In Impala's case, they said their headline earnings are expected to be down by around 70% for the year to the end of June. Obviously, lower platinum prices may need to blame for that, although platinum prices are higher now than they were. The Foschini Group also down by 3% today, I should point out. And then some of the other consumer shares up quite nicely. So Pick n Pay was up, Telkom and Spar both up by well over 1%. What a difference a lack of load shedding makes if you are rainbow chickens. So they were battling the avian flu outbreak, you may remember. They also had load shedding. Now those things have both ended, sort of, and as a result, they expect their earnings per share to be up by around 200% compared to the previous year. That's to the end of June. And then Italtal, not enough of us are breaking our backs on weekends during the bathroom, John, because they say that there is an oversupply, too much manufacturing capacity in the ceramic space, so their profits might be up by just 0.1% to the end of June. That's been a little bit of a problem in that space for quite some time, actually. In the US, markets opening flat. They're mixed now. And let me just explain this. So it's quite a strange thing. The Trump administration had previously said that NVIDIA could not sell the H20 chip to China because it was sort of too advanced. There were national security concerns. The H20 chip is used to train AI models. The Trump administration now says that's fine, you can sell it to China, but you will pay us a 15% tax, essentially. I suppose that's what it must be on each chip you sell to China. So anyway, I'm scratching my head a little bit, but that's because I'm artificially, never mind. The Dow Jones is down 0.32. The Nasdaq is up 0.13. The S&P 500 is down 0.03. Call it flat. The gold price, $3,345.12. Platinum, $1,322.62. Brent crude, $66.47. And the rand to the dollar, 17.76. To the euro, 20.60. To the British pound, 23.81. On the Money Show tonight, Stats SA confirming, John, is going to change the questions it asks people to determine whether or not they are employed or unemployed. This gets to the heart of the informal economy. We'll look at the bonuses that are paid to CEOs of state-owned entities. I mean, the Road Traffic Management Agency CEO got a bonus. Have you seen the roads? And then from 7:30 tonight on My Money, we are talking to someone who has made her money by understanding colour. I'm really not making this up. She helped to develop a national standard so that the blue, that is the colour of your jersey, which is a different blue to the colour of someone's coffee mug or something, they each have a name or a number. Or
As
something.
they should.
Yes, quite as strange. Do you know? Never mind. Stephen Crutis, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. I remember when I was painting my house, I loved looking at those. What do they call them? Color strips. Strips. They got a special switches. Anyway, I was looking at that, and I love the names. That was great. Good. I'm glad someone is claiming credit for that. 25 minutes now to 6 o'clock. Let's get the very latest Eyewitness news. Mongezi Koko, good afternoon.
Thanks, Ndata John. Good afternoon. I do think it's called a Pantone color guide. We start here. The DA leader, John Steenhuisen, is calling for action against Sports Minister Gayton McKenzie following allegations of racism against him. Now, during the weekend, old posts from McKenzie's X account resurfaced, showing him using racial slurs directed at black people. Although McKenzie has apologized for some of the posts, Steenhuisen says his past remarks are unbecoming of someone who claims to serve the public. Alpha Ramoshwana has that story.
DA leader John Steenhuisen says there should be consistency in addressing Patriotic Alliance leader Gayton McKenzie's past use of racial slurs, seemingly drawing a comparison to how the party dealt with its former MP Ronaldo House. He was removed from Parliament and expelled from the DA after old racist social media posts resurfaced. Steenhuisen insists McKenzie should not be exempt from accountability and that South Africans must demand action against him.
There does need to be consistency with how we handle these things in South Africa. You shouldn't be able to get away with saying something because you happen to be a minister, but an ordinary MP or somebody else says the same thing and is dealt with accordingly.
While McKenzie has apologized, he maintains that some of the circulating screenshots are AI generated and do not reflect his views. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg.
The National Convention Organizing Committee has clarified the withdrawal of some legacy foundations from the planning leg of the dialogue. Last week, foundations including that of Thabo Mbeki, F.W. de Klerk and Steve Biko pulled out of the occasion over clashes with the presidency. The organization cited a lack of funding and insufficient time to prepare for the first national convention set to take place at the end of the week. The convention committee briefed the media on its readiness in Pretoria this morning. Convention spokesperson Zuwo Nevutulu says the foundations did not withdraw from the entire national dialogue, but rather the preparatory task team.
The decision to withdraw from participating in the preparatory task team and the 15th August First National Convention does not represent a withdrawal from the National Dialogue Project.
In the Western Cape, a suspected gang-related shooting has claimed the life of a man in Delft. The 26-year-old man was shot near the sports ground yesterday. Police say the man sustained multiple gunshot wounds to the head. Spokesperson Malcolm Puji.
The motive is believed to be gang conflict related. No arrests have been made yet. We appeal to anyone with information to please contact Crime Stop on 080600 10111.
And EU foreign ministers are holding an emergency meeting this afternoon to discuss the looming summit between Presidents Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. The two leaders will meet in the U.S. state of Alaska on Friday to try and resolve the 3-year war, but the EU has insisted that Kyiv and European powers should be part of any deal to end the conflict. The idea of a US-Russia meeting without President Volodymyr Zelensky has raised concerns that a deal could require Ukraine to give up some territory, which the EU has rejected. A fine Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Lows of between 5 and 7 degrees and highs of between 20 and 21.
Kempton Park heading towards Tembisa. There's a slow-moving traffic. This is R21 northbound between Atlas Road and the Benoni off-ramp. In Boksburg, also traffic pressure N12 east between Croft Road and Atlas Road. And in the Joburg CBD, we still have bumper-to-bumper traffic. M1 south from Killarney Bains all the way to the Crown Interchange.
The top story in EWN, DA leader John Steenhuisen is calling for action against Sports Minister Gayton McKenzie following allegations of racism against him.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabota, 1 to 3 p.m.
The reality is they shame their kids because they're shaming themselves. So where do we even begin to undo that?
It's such an interesting example that you've given, because I think it's not only parent-child, but you start finding this even in romantic relationships, where there's these expectations of, if my mother or my grandmother could do this, why can't you? And we don't realize that what was the cost that your grandmother paid.
Please repeat that again. Because just because your grandmother or your mother or your grandfather or father could do it also doesn't mean that they should have done it, and doesn't mean that they were happy to do it.
Yeah. Or that it's consequence-free.
Clinical psychologist and founder of Cohesive Collaboration, Sikandar Kala.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabota.
Let's walk the talk.
Tani Esther, or should I say the Tupperware Tani? How's business going?
Business is booming. I've been operating out of the boot of my car for 10 years, but shame, it couldn't keep up with my growing empire.
Okay, so you sold it to We Buy Cars?
Yes, quick. Sold my old one, bought a bigger one. I even sold some of my Tupperware to the friendly guy who picked up my car.
Stick to what you know best, eh, Tony?
Excuse me?
Never mind. We Buy Cars. Geared for your business, geared for you.
Did you ever work in the UK? If you did for at least 3 years and you're under 67, you can get a guaranteed UK state pension worth up to 5 million rand over a typical retirement for just a small payment directly to UK revenue. Most people get 40 rand back for every rand they pay in. There's a big queue at UK revenue as this opportunity may end soon, so act fast. Call Extra Pension in Cape Town or see extrapension.com. Mind your UK pension and it'll mind you. Service fees apply.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, good day, John. All these frauds that are happening, IDT, the one that Sikonat is talking about now, and all the frauds that happen, they're all happening under the watchful eye of our president, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa. It is just quiet. Dead quiet. He doesn't want to move a finger or do anything. To him, everything is okay. That man doesn't see that his house is on fire. We are burning in this house. John, I'm just tired of it.
I think a lot of people are quite tired, hey? Really, really tired and very much demoralized. I don't think that this rot began under this particular president. I think I'm stating the blindingly obvious. It didn't. But there was a lot of talk when President Cyril Ramaphosa became the president of the ANC first and then the president of the country, that there was going to be decisive action against this stuff. But I think two things have happened. One is that the action hasn't been as decisive as was promised. But secondly, I think this stuff is in the DNA of government. And I don't say it's in the DNA of every single government department. And I don't believe every single government official is the carrier of that DNA. But I think it's sufficiently present in the way in which we do things in this country for me to say that it is absolutely endemic, because it's and the thing is, the media is actually covering a fraction of it. Can you imagine how much is going on that isn't being covered? So that, I think, is where the problem lies. It is a rot of the very, very deepest and most destructive kind, and it's every single day. It is thrust into our faces for us to contemplate, as we also have to contemplate the diminishing of services and the collapse of some of the most basic things that citizens should be entitled to expect as a community of people who work and pay tax. 702 Drive, 17 minutes to 6.
EWN Sport.
Tolakele, the Betway Premiership is underway. It's getting interesting already. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, John. And Adeslam Madu insists that every player will get a chance. That's after Tsegofatso Mabaso failed to get any minutes in their Betway Premiership defeat to Skukuni United on Saturday. Mabasa has been Orlando Pirates' top scorer for the last 2 seasons, but for the second game in a row, the forward was left out of the squad completely.
When we will call him, I think he will be able to perform and to give us the best of him. Of course, you can maybe ask some question because the strikers that we put, maybe they didn't score. So of course, I understand your question. I told you we have a lot of players this season, and everybody will get his chance at the right moment.
Gwena Mapaga insists now is not the time for him to be thinking about World Cup selection as he targets cementing his spot in the Proteas side. All eyes will be on him tomorrow when South Africa take on Australia in the second game of their T20 series. That's after he took 4 for 20 in the first encounter, and at 19 years old, he became the youngest fast bowler from a member nation to achieve the feat.
There's obviously a long-term plan, and there's obviously personal aspirations of playing in both of those World Cups. But again, it's just taking it day by day, not focusing too far into the future. At the end of the day, I might not be able to play cricket in 2027 or in 2026. Maybe an injury, maybe something else happening. So it's just about appreciating what you have today and taking it day by day.
The Springboks return to action on Saturday in their Rugby Championship opener against Australia. Team news ahead of it have seen Rassie Erasmus select Apelele Fase at fullback, Mani Lebak at fly half, while Captain Siya Kolisi is the 8th man. For Eben Etzebeth, he'll extend his record as the most capped buck of all time to 134 matches.
Sometimes when you start to do well, you think, okay, this is going to be an easy game, and we certainly learned lessons from that. But, we're playing Tier 1 nations now, and we're playing teams that beat the British and Irish Lions. Firstly, we tried to rectify that during the second Italy test match and the Georgia test match, and then up the intensity at training. If that happens again on Saturday, I'm not talking scoreboard-wise, I'm talking intensity-wise. We as coaches missing a trick.
And Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua's super fighters encountered its first big roadblock, with reports claiming that there's no guarantee that the British Boxing Board of Control would be willing to sanction the fight. Talks over the bout continue after the YouTube-turned boxer called out the 2-time unified heavyweight champion. It's expected to take place next year in America rather than in the UK as a result of the British Board of Control's hardline stance. Tolagile Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
So we had headaches on the N17. We've got heartburn on the N12 East. Tough if you're going east, eh?
Yeah, no, that's true, John. At this stage in the Boksburg area, traffic pressure N12 eastbound between Croft Road and Atlas Road. In Kempton Park, traffic remains gridlocked heading towards Tembisa. R21 northbound from Atlas Road all the way to the R23 Pinoni off-ramp. Germiston, we still have those roadworks slowing down traffic on the N17 eastbound between Osborne and Rondebold Road, while in the Joburg CBD traveling towards Boysens, there's still bumper traffic. M1 southbound between Kilani Benz and the Crown Interchange. At Devland, there's roadworks causing heavy delays on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue. Protea Glen, we still have delays on the R559. That's Main Road opposite GOG Gardens. And in Groenkloof, Pretoria, there's slow-moving traffic on George Storer Drive between Lades and the Fountain Circle. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. It is now 13 minutes to 6. We're going to engage in some musical play with you. We throw out an idea and a couple of songs. You come back and fill in some of the gaps that we have left. Very simple question we're asking today. Your favorite song that has the name of a place, a town, a city, could even be a country in that song. I'm going to start by giving you a couple because we are here in Johannesburg. Let's start off with Hugh Masekela. Okay, so I think you all know that one, Hugh Masekela going to Johannesburg. But how many? That's from 1982, by the way. But here's another song about Johannesburg that was really quite big in the 1980s. The artist is Gil Scott Heron. Take a listen.
1, 2, now you know what to do. Say. Say what's the word? Tell me, woman, have you heard about Johannesburg? We need a little bit more than that. Come on, you get it here. Somebody say what's the word? Tell me, brother, have you heard about Johannesburg? They tell me that our brothers are over there.
So that's Gil Scott Heron, that music, that song written and performed alongside Brian Jackson, the band. Getting a great sound out of the band. They're called the Midnight Band. That was a collaborative album they did called From South Africa to South Carolina. Came out in 1975. And Gil Scott Heron was out here, I'm guessing a little bit, but sometime in the late 1990s. I remember he was brought out here. Passed away in, I can't remember the year, but fairly soon after that. Anyway, two songs then that have in their title and in their lyrics, a place. Could be a town, could be a neighborhood, could be a city, could be a country. Let's get them going, please. Send us your choices on 072 702 1702.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
The saga playing itself out in the Eastern Cape involving the Judge President Selby Menenge to see the need for such a policy. It's a 25-page document. What are some of the key elements to it, do you think?
It defines what sexual harassment is. And I think that is imperative considering that a lot of people actually don't know how to define the term and they don't know how it can manifest in different ways.
Makatso Nchodu is a legal researcher and advocacy officer at Judges Matter, reflecting on the sexual harassment policy that was announced by Chief Justice Mandisa Maya.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Corporates That Care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. Catch Corporates That Care this Wednesday at 10 to 9, featuring Unilever Southern Africa. Their CEO, Justin Apsey, will be in conversation with Bongani Bingwa. Join us every Wednesday as we highlight the efforts of companies and brands dedicated to building our country. Corporates That Care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702, let's walk the talk and make a difference together.
Dear Journal, trying to be an adult day 3471. Fridays at work used to be great. 3 p.m., laptops off, music on, even a cheeky beer. Now I just sit with Teams open and pray that Monet from finance doesn't message me at 4:57 p.m.
Hating the corporate 9 to 5? Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's easy and like 19 Rand a day, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
The thing about Decophone furniture is that it isn't just furniture. A couch isn't just a couch. It's nights of warm blankets and just one more episode. A bed's more than a bed. It's how many times you can hit snooze before you really get in trouble. Even a rug can be a love story.
Where's Dad?
Make the warmest memories with Decophone Furniture's winter clear-out sale. In-store now or at decophoneSA.co.za.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
702 Drive. So they're pouring in some great ones here. Bob Marley's Zimbabwe from 1980. That's from Shivas. Tedison says mine would be California Love. I don't know who that's by. Don refers to a historic song that's really part of South African life called Meadowlands. We're going to see how many of these we can find. The question we asked, by the way, if you weren't here to hear us ask it, is to send us your favorite song that has the name of a place, country, town, city, neighborhood, if you've got it. I mentioned Bob Marley, Zimbabwe. Here it is.
Every man got the right to decide his own destiny. And in this judgment there is no partiality. So arm in arms with arms, we'll fight this little struggle. 'Cause that's the only way we can overcome a little trouble. Brother, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're so right. We gon' fight, we'll have to fight, we gonna fight, fight for our rights. Not to trade it in a Zimbabwe, set it up in Zimbabwe, mash it up in a Zimbabwe, Africans are liberate.
Zimbabwe there with Bob Marley. 072 702 1702.
Good evening, John and Tim. It's Leon here in Randburg. So one of the songs I like, it's actually a song by the band Delta Spirit, and the song is called California. I think it mainly talks about, starting afresh, moving, and, just having a new lease on life.
I want you to move to California for yourself. I want you to find whatever your heart needs. I want you to move to California for yourself, but not for me. I want you to go out there and find somebody else.
Delta Spirit from their first album of the same name. Here's a couple. Georgia has come up a lot, by the way. David in Boxburg, Ray Charles, Georgia on my mind. We've also got Midnight Train to Georgia from Gladys Knight and the Pips. And we had another Georgia as well. I don't think I can find it. Anyway, okay, good one, though. Let's hear from you again on 072 702 1702.
Hey, John. My favorites are The Girl from Ipanema, and then secondly, Midnight Train to Georgia. Thanks for a great show.
Okay, I thought we had those songs. Girl from Ipanema. So many different versions of it. I'm not sure what to start. Somebody says, give me Hope Johanna. I'm not sure I get that. Maybe give me Hope Johannesburg. We'll be hearing that from all the mayoral candidates next year in the election. What do we got?
Tall and tan and young and lovely, the girl from Ipanema goes walking, and when she passes, each one she passes goes, ah. When she walks, she's like a samba that swings so cool and sways so gentle that when she passes, each one she passes goes, ooh. But I watch her so sadly.
Frank Sinatra doing a version of a song that so many other people have done. Hotel California by the Eagles, says Carlos Martins. I think that's a very good song with a state's name in it. Jill says Abdullah Ibrahim Manenberg. I love that song. Many people do. Here's the other Georgia. No, I said that one actually. Georgia on my mind. There's a few more that we got about Georgia. What else? Let's keep looking at what other songs. Wichita by Nolan Taylor says Nhlanhla in Boksburg. I know there's a Wichita lineman. Somebody else picked that as a song a little bit while ago. Some of you are sending us songs, I guess, deep in the song. There is a reference to a place, but I was asking for the song in the title. Tebechos calling from Tshwane. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon, Jonathan. Yeah, Miriam Makeba, Aluta Continua. She mentioned quite a number of African countries there.
Oh, great. All right, let's have a listen to it. Thanks for that tip.
My people, open your eyes and answer the call of the drum. Frelimo, Frelimo, Samora Machel, Samora Machel has come. Maputo, Maputo, home of the brave, our nation will soon be as one. Frelimo, Frelimo, Samora Machel, Samora Machel.
Aluta Continua by Miriam Makeba. The other Georgia song, by the way, Rainy Night in Georgia. That's the one I was looking for. That by Brooke Benton and Lindo sent us that. Thank you very much. No time for more songs. I'm sorry. Out of time, out of places, out of music. This is 702 Drive. I'm John Perlman. Good night.
And now, The Money Show.
With Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
And DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by Absa CIB, equipping you with efficient and secure cash management solutions for your business. Good evening.